everything in place for their big event movies. And I think these movies are pretty good reps of that, of like putting our characters in certain situations and certain places and building out these roster of characters that we're going to be watching over these next 3 or 4 years here. And the first of that is Spider-Man Homecoming 2017. Now, you're a big Spider-Man fan. I think we talked about it quite a bit last time. We talked about it this week, how big of a Spider-Man fan you are. Did you see this movie in theaters? What was kind of your history kind of watching this for the first time?
So I did absolutely see this movie in theaters. Something that like really connected with me about Tom Holland's Spider-Man specifically is I was like the same age as him for all of the movies. He was like canonically about 14 in Civil War, and I was about 14 in watching Civil War. And then in 2017, it was weird because it was my first year of high school, and then I was 15. And Peter Parker was 15. He was in his second year of high school, so like slight difference because but so I kind of connected with that version of Spider-Man a lot. I could relate to him a lot. So I absolutely saw that one in theaters. I think I saw it twice in theaters. I don't remember, but I definitely saw it at least once in theaters, and I loved it. It's like when I saw it, because Spider-Verse hadn't come out yet, it was my favorite Spider-Man movie. Like easily, and it just happened to have like two of my favorite Marvel heroes interacting, Spider-Man and Iron Man. Iron Man was my favorite at the time.
Sure.
He's still up there. And Spider-Man was always one of my favorites. So that like seeing that relationship explored in a movie was really exciting because like there was like such a long period of time where we thought Spider-Man was never coming to the MCU. There was no way that they were ever going to do that because he was owned by Sony and they were doing the Amazing Spider-Man franchise. And there was no way they were ever going to be able to do something with Spider-Man in the bigger universe. And then that Civil War trailer dropped and everybody lost their minds. It was really exciting. So like as soon as that first Spider-Man Homecoming trailer dropped, I was all over it. I was obsessed with it. It was incredible. I was so happy to get that movie and to get that character in this larger world with all the other heroes.
Yeah. No, that's like that was. I wasn't fully in the fandom yet, and I really wish I was. And like that was one of the reasons I wanted to start this little series I'm doing here.
It was the best time to be in the fandom. I think everybody was so excited. It kind of went downhill after there because everybody started being so,
cynical, I guess.
Cynical. Everybody is like so. Everybody tends to like be like, my opinion's the only one that's correct and the only one you're allowed to have, and it's like. Like there's like no room for interpretation, it feels like, in terms of like what's comic accurate or what isn't, and like what's a good movie versus what's not a good movie. It's just back then it was so much more fun to actually talk about these things because people were genuinely like, I don't want to say less critical because it's not like that. It was just like a more positive, a more inviting environment than it is now, because it kind of sucks now.
Yeah, I think that's interesting though, because like I would agree, at least I think on the MCU side of it. Like I think MCU fans at least I think loved Homecoming when it came out. But I do remember like Spider-Man fans having a heyday with this one in its early era, and where it was just like, well, this is a good movie, but it's not a good Spider-Man movie.
I know, that's what I was thinking of, and that was such a stupid, like, I don't know. I don't want to talk about that necessarily, just because I don't want to like piss off anyone's fans. I just never agreed with that sentiment. I thought it was a fantastic. I remember like every time I would watch it, I would think this is one of my favorite Peter Parker stories ever told.
No, for sure. I think and I think things have actually got a lot better since No Way Home came out.
Especially for that one specifically. People started seeing Homecoming in a better light.
Also, I think just like it embraces the difference of the characters. I think like around this time and like for the last like 20 years or so, like new adaptations of characters are hard for people. Change is just hard
Yeah.
for people. If
Yeah.
they grew up watching those Tobey movies, that is Spider-Man from, which is valid. It's
Mhm.
totally okay for that to be your Spider-Man. I
Mhm.
love Andrew. I don't love his movies as much, but I love him as that character. So like I
Me
can
too.
definitely understand that it being hard because
That
it is a different take
attachment,
on
yeah.
Spider-Man. It is a very different take on the character. They are doing something
Mhm.
very different, and I think that's probably what I'll title this episode is like that time Marvel tried something different, because I argue that's for
Yeah.
both of these movies we're talking about today. They tried
Yeah.
something different with these characters, and that is hard for people. So like I do understand if it's not someone's favorite Spider-Man movie, but I do think No Way Home made it very acceptable to be like, wait, their character strengths are their differences. Like if all three of these
Mhm.
characters were just the same, if they were all just Toby, be kind of lame. It'd be kind of
Yeah.
like their dynamics wouldn't work as much. It works, and this goes for every Spider-Man. And I think that's why he's one of my
Yeah.
favorite characters of all time, because every version of them feels different. Toby and
Yeah.
Andrew and Tom, and then you go to like, Josh Keaton feels different, and
Mhm.
my favorite Yuri Lowenthal is so different,
Mhm.
and like Neil Patrick Harris and freaking Jack Black and that one little thing so
Oh
like
my
every
gosh, the
version
SNL bit or something, right? Yeah. I forgot
like
about that one.
every
When's he gonna
everyone
be in
is
Beyond?
different, and that's his strength. I feel like I can watch a new Spider-Man project every couple of years, and it's this new
Mhm.
energized enjoyment I get, because it's like it's a new take on the character, and that's a good
Mhm.
thing. You need to have this. And
Yeah.
so yeah, no, I think this movie aged very well. I think this is
Mhm.
still, it's a toss-up between, for me, from No Way Home and this one, but I think this is my favorite Tom Holland outing as Spider-Man still. I
It's so funny.
really
Every
like this
time I
one.
watch either No Way Home or Homecoming, I'm like, that's my favorite one. Like I watch
Yeah.
Homecoming, like that's my favorite of the trilogy, and I
Yeah.
watch No Way Home, I'm
I
like,
go
that's my
back and
favorite of the
forth.
trilogy.
Yeah.
It's really hard to decide. I keep switching them around on my ranking for both Spider-Man and
Mm-hmm.
MCU, since they're both Spider-Man and MCU. Um,
Yeah. I
it's
mean,
just it's
I'm
just
kind of that way with like Spider-Man as a whole, because like,
yeah.
okay,
My
like I'll be
Spider-Man
like,
list is constantly changing. We're not going to
yeah,
talk about my Spider-Man list though, because it'll piss people off. But that could be said no matter
there.
what your Spider-Man list is. Honestly, nobody
I
can agree on what the best one is, and I say that because most people agree on the best one, but that's not my favorite.
Mhm. Fair. But like again, like I think that's one of those rare franchises where like it's okay. Like I think
Yeah,
I think there's some franchises where I'm like, oh, that's easily the worst one, or that's easily the
yeah,
best one. And I think with this one, like I kind of like all of them.
yeah. I was
I
gonna
think
say my
like
hot take about Spider-Man: not a single bad movie of the bunch.
not a bad
There are
movie.
ones I like more than other ones, but there's not a single bad one. I
There's not
think
a bad one.
Spider-Man's been really lucky in terms of adaptations because like
Yeah.
I love all of the Spider-Man movies, and I can't wait for the new one.
It's very surprising how good they have been. Like even
Yeah,
you have like Spider-Man 3, where it's like, okay, there was clearly some production stuff happening
yeah.
behind the
And
scenes,
then
but I'm
Amazing
still like,
Spider-Man 2, where there's a lot of production stuff happening
a
behind the
lot of
scenes.
stuff, and like I'm still like, I don't know, they're still fun. Like I still get a
Yeah,
lot of
I
enjoyment
still have
out
a
of
good
those.
time watching them. The
Yeah.
performances are usually good. Like even in something where it's like not as good a movie, at least it's entertaining. Like I
Yeah.
think that they're still I personally think that they're all good movies, but like
Great.
maybe I have bad taste. I don't know. Maybe I'm not harsh enough, but I just think
Hmm.
if I'm like scrolling through TV, because people used to do that. If I'm just scrolling through the TV channels and I see a Spider-Man movie on, I'm gonna put it on. I'm gonna watch it,
I'm gonna
no
watch.
matter
Yeah.
which one it is.
Yeah. No, no. I went to a hotel a couple years ago, and it just turned on the TV, and it's No Way Home on, and I just sit there and I watch the whole
Heck
thing,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
just like, I gotta. It's so much fun.
It's a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah,
He spins a web any size.
yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, no, I think Homecoming is definitely a very interesting movie. I think out of the roster of not just like Spider-Man movies, but also just like the MCU at the time, because
Mhm.
they're definitely going a very different direction than I think a lot of the MCU movies, at least of its time, did. Like I think we're doing more stuff like that now with like Ironheart and Miss
Mhm.
Marvel, but at the time it was so different because the MCU
Mhm.
was filled with these these billionaires and these
Yeah.
gods and these super soldiers, and they
Hmm.
were these like highest peaks of the world, and these were the like 1% of the world, I guess.
Yeah.
And I like that Homecoming is just like, hey, let's take a break. Hey, let's just
Yeah.
go down to the like the lowest surface level of just people and just follow the
Yeah.
story about these teenagers and these teachers and these students that don't have powers. They are not rich.
Hmm.
They are just normal people. And this kid that's kind of stuck in between these two worlds, that is very
Yeah.
fascinating to see. This someone who, like, he's working with Tony Stark, and he
Yeah.
fought Captain America, and he has this very rich suit. Oh, but then he has to go to, like, algebra class
Detention.
at 12. Yeah, and like detention and,
Hmm.
and that struggle, I think, is fascinating, of like,
Hmm.
I could go to detention, or I could go get myself a scholarship and never have to deal with any of this stuff again. And
Hmm.
those temptations, I
Hmm.
think really does set this apart, not only from just the MCU, but also, I think, the rest of his trilogy, because I don't think
Hmm.
any, not say the other movies are bad, but like, I don't think they ever have this kind of the small scale style
Hmm.
ever again in the MCU up until this point. Like, even Spider-Verse, we're like dealing with like the multiverse cracking
Yeah.
in half and like stuff like that. Where
Yeah.
like the stakes in this one is like, hey, some tech is getting stolen. Like, Tony will
And
be
people could get
fine.
hurt.
Yeah, like,
Something I really like about watching Spider-Man Homecoming and Thor Ragnarok back to back, which made it really interesting, is just the stark difference in this term in terms
mm,
of scale and in terms of stakes. Because like I watched Spider-Man Homecoming, and it's
mm-hmm,
like, oh, it's this like it's Peter Parker, and he's Spider-Man, and he's trying to stop weapons deals and
mm-hmm,
like theft of like dangerous technology that can like harm people, because the main reason he doesn't like care about like Stark losing money. He just cares about people getting hurt by the weapons because they're
right,
selling them to
yeah,
criminals. That's the whole thing he cares about. But then you go and watch Thor Ragnarok, and it's gods, and there's the Hulk, and then
yeah,
there's like they're on another planet, and then there's Hela, and she's trying to like
Grandmaster, and
take over,
yeah,
and the Grand Jeff Goldblum for the win. Um, and then there's Surtur and destroying Asgard, and it's like, wow,
yeah,
this is like space, like end of the world, but like
mm-hmm,
not our world, their world, but like still end of
yeah,
a world, like events and like stakes. While Spider-Man is just, I'm looking out for the little guy.
mm-hmm,
I wanna help where I can. There's a whole montage of him like giving a lady directions, stopping a bike thief. It's like I just really like that whole friendly neighborhood Spider-Man thing. And I think that honestly, I think Homecoming does it the best out of all of them. He really feels like a part of the community. Like even down to that like the news bit after my favorite scene in the movie, the bank robbery scene. The little news bit, like their file photo for Spider-Man is him coming out of a porta potty with toilet paper stuck to his foot. Like he feels like he's just somebody who lives there, and he just happens to dress in red and blue spandex and punch bad guys. Like,
yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And again, I'm very excited for Brand New Day, because it
me too.
feels like we're tapping into that again, and
Hmm.
hopefully a way we've never seen before,
Hmm.
in a way, because like I know like one of the big criticisms of this one, where it's like the whole like Iron Boy Jr. thing. It's like,
Don't
oh,
even
it's
get
just
me started
Iron
on that
Man,
thing.
and like I'm always very confused when I rewatch this movie, because I think, did you finish the movie?
Yeah,
Did you
the
watch it
whole
to the
thing.
end?
It's so funny when people bring up that comparison, and then they act like they double down on it in
Yeah,
Far From Home, when it's quite literally the opposite.
yeah,
Because people, like, not to get on that movie too much, because we're
mm,
talking about Homecoming, but people
yeah,
always bring up the scene where he's in the plane and he's building the new Spider-Man suit, and then Happy
yeah,
puts on AC/DC and he says, "I love Led Zeppelin."
yeah,
It's like showing like, sure, there's similarities there because they're both really smart and they're really intuitive and things like that, but they are
yeah,
different people. They are very different, and he was never going to be Iron Man,
yeah.
like full stop.
No, for
um
sure.
but
Like,
especially in Homecoming, because like they're like, oh, he's Spider-Man is Iron Man's sidekick in this movie, and every single time he does anything, it's the opposite of what Iron Man told him
yeah,
to do. And then it's kind of funny because people are like, oh, his characterization was better in Civil War, but Civil War is where he's doing everything Iron Man's telling him to
yeah,
do.
yeah. I I think that is an issue I sometimes have with Civil War. Like, I love their dynamic
Yeah.
a lot. I love the Peter
Yeah.
and Tony. It's great, but like there
Hmm.
is a tiny part of me that's like, would Peter get along with Tony if he really knew what Tony was doing? You know, like there is a
Hmm.
little bit of that where I do think if he knew the full scope of everything, he would have chose Steve's side of that
Oh, he
fight.
totally would have.
Yeah,
Tony was keeping things from him. It's a little
yeah.
manipulative. I think
He
he
was.
gets like the relationship gets better as it goes.
He definitely
Because
took
like
advantage
after
of him.
Homecoming, you can tell Tony respects him a lot more.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Which is
Yeah.
which is awesome because that's such a good character arc for both of them. I think
Hmm.
their journey, like honestly, Peter and Tony have two of my favorite character arcs in the entire MCU.
Hmm.
I think that it's just really interesting. But yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
no,
remember
like
what I was saying.
again, that final scene, it might be my favorite MCU Spider-Man sequence. Like that final bit where like Tony's like, "All right, we have the thing. You're an Avenger now. We'll move you
Yeah,
in
and
right
then
next
he's
to Vision."
like,
Blah blah
no.
blah, and it's that moment of like, "No, I don't. This isn't right. Like this is what I thought I wanted,
Hmm. But
but I'm not."
now that I have the chance to get it, I
Yeah,
think I need to stick to where I am.
yeah,
Look out for the little guy because that's the whole thing he's learning. He's trying to do
yeah,
these bigger things the entire movie, but then in his fight with the Vulture, who's claiming to be looking out for the little guy, and he
yeah.
sees the hypocrisy in him because he's been to his house. He's huge house, lots of windows. Um, but he kind of learns like I don't know if I was doing this, like I think I got in over my head. I need to scale back to remember what this is really about for me.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, like that's the arc I think people forget is like the whole
Yeah.
point is that he doesn't need the tech, and
Yeah, because it kind of
it like
messes him up at every
does.
turn.
Yeah, it's that like again there's that fantastic scene where it's like, well, if you're nothing without the suit, you shouldn't have
Then you
it,
shouldn't
and
have
he's
it. Yeah.
100% right. And
Hmm.
I think there needs to be that moment where Peter's like, it does, like that tech doesn't matter, Tony doesn't matter, the Avengers
Hmm.
doesn't matter. What matters is I'm protecting these people and I'm helping
Hmm.
them and I'm doing what's right and I'm saving people. That's what Spider-Man is about, and that's what it
Yeah.
started on. It's very easy to get lost in the fame and the money and the possibilities, but once that's gone,
Hmm.
it's easy for him to be like, no, this is what I need to do. This is what
Yeah,
needs to be done.
it's kind of like in a way Peter's original arc in the comics where
Hmm.
he starts off doing the wrestling thing for the fame and the money and then does the superhero thing
Right.
afterwards. It's kind of like it's almost like people like to say that the whole trilogy is an origin story, and I strongly disagree about that.
Okay.
But Homecoming kind of is in a way.
Sure. It's like a backwards version
Yeah. Where like he's
of that
already
arc.
doing the right
Yeah.
thing because he already learned the responsibility lesson off screen. I will
Hmm.
stand by that. Like I will
Yeah.
always be the one to say Uncle Ben existed. He
Yeah.
died. Um, and it was Peter's fault, or at least Peter thinks it's his fault. It's never
Hmm.
really like I mean it is and it isn't. It's a complicated situation.
Yeah.
Um, but like he learned that lesson, and like people are like, oh, why doesn't he bring him up? Why did you want him to bring it up to Tony Stark when he just met him 5 seconds ago?
Yeah.
Like, anyway, but that's another conversation that is gonna piss off fans. Um, but yeah, but he's so I don't even remember where I was going with this. I keep getting on I get on Spider-Man tangents a lot. It's
It's
like
fine.
I get on so many arguments online about it. It's insane. I have to stop. That's what like every now and then you'll see I won't post about Spider-Man for several weeks because I'm trying to get rid of that
Hmm.
the fan base is insane, honestly,
It's a lot.
at times. Yeah, so it just gets to be too much. So I'll stop going on my Spider-Man tangent. We
No.
can keep obviously we're gonna keep talking about Spider-Man, but like
Yeah.
I will step off my Twitter talking points for now.
No, no, it's fine, and I no, I think you're right. Like I think there's again like Spider-Man's one of those characters where it means something to someone else, and when
Yeah.
you again, it's a movie that does diverge from what you kind of know. Like it's not the Spider-Bite,
Hmm.
and it's not the Uncle Ben, and it's not those stories that you kind of know. But I think that's cool that we don't have
That's
to
part of the appeal
retread.
to me. We've seen the
Yeah,
origin story. Everybody knows the origin story. So of course, if we skip the origin story, you can just assume it happened like similarly to the way it's happened before, because it's always the
yeah,
same.
yeah. No, like I think. Yeah, like I think it works here. Like I don't
Yeah.
fully agree with the take where it's like we should never see the origin story again. Where
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa,
No,
all right, like
we can totally see it again if they want to. I don't mind them skipping it because it's a story we've
waiting a
seen.
couple years.
But
Yeah, like
yeah, wait a couple years, reintroduce it, do
yeah,
something fresh with it. Because like I love Spider-Man 1 and I love The Amazing Spider-Man. They're somewhat similar in the origin stories. They change a little bit for The Amazing Spider-Man, but like the origin story is usually pretty similar because it's
yeah, for
everybody
sure.
knows it. Spider-Verse even makes like a joke about that. They start being like, "All right, you all know the story. Let's go over it
Yeah,
quickly." Um,
sure.
so yeah, I don't mind them skipping the origin story for this one because we all know it. However,
Hmm.
like if they want to do it again in some other
Yeah,
Spider-Man reboot like 10 years from now, that's totally cool too.
yeah. Like I think our next Peter Parker, I'd be like, sure, do it again because like
Yeah,
it will have been.
it'll have been a
Well,
while.
it's been a long time. Like even like Friendly
Yeah,
Neighborhood.
2012 was the last origin story we've gotten on the big screen.
Sure.
Or yeah, that was 2012, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
Amazing
so that's
Spider-Man. Yeah,
been almost
it's been
15 years.
I don't even want to
Four,
think about that.
14? Yeah. And it's been like
Moving
Tom
on.
Holland's going to be doing it for a while now, so it'll probably be
Yeah,
close to 20, 25 years before we get another one. So
yeah.
yeah, you can
So
definitely do it
that's
again.
totally enough time.
Yeah. No, for sure. Um I adore Vulture in this movie.
Oh yeah,
Um
Michael Keaton was fantastic in this film.
Hot take, my favorite Michael Keaton superhero role.
Yeah, I like Batman, but he's
I
better
do
as
too.
Vulture in my opinion.
I
It's
love his performance as Vulture.
probably my second favorite Michael Keaton role, only behind Beetlejuice. But
Yeah.
I really like.
I I think Vulture's my favorite MCU villain. I don't know if that's a
Really?
crazy
Oh,
take.
that's not. I mean, I can respect that. I would have to think a little
Yeah,
longer about all the MC villains. But
sure.
Vulture
I
is
mean,
he's in my top three live action Spider-Man villains for sure.
sure.
Probably number two, honestly.
Yeah.
That's my hot take.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good ones too. Like, at least that's a hard take for me to say. Like, am I including like Agents of Shield? Am I including like
Hmm.
Kingpin and Purple Man from like the Netflix? Like
Yeah,
that's
there's
a
a lot.
conversation for another
Well, you
day.
definitely
Yeah.
include Kingpin now because
You can include
he's
Kingpin.
in
Yeah.
Born Again and in Hawkeye and in
Right.
Daredevil, which is canon now.
Which yeah, they're all canon. So like then I'm like, well,
Mhm.
David Tennant's Purple Man, like that's up there. Like that
I
is
still got
like
to watch Jessica Jones. I still got to finish Daredevil. That's the thing that my Marvel nerd card's gonna get taken away. I still haven't
yeah.
finished Daredevil.
I
I
need to
finished
finish
Born
the
Again, but I
Batman
haven't
show
finished the
too.
original.
It's really good. I
Yeah.
recommend at least that first season of
Oh yeah,
Jessica Jones. That
Jessica
first
Jones.
season
Yeah,
is
I've heard good things about that first
immaculate.
season.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna watch that one soon. I'm gonna finish Daredevil and I'm gonna watch that pretty soon, hopefully, if
Yeah.
I have time. It's not been having a lot of free time recently.
Fair enough. Absolutely. But no, I love Vulture. I know
Yeah.
there's some people that wanted him to be a little bit more comic book accurate, but I think
Hmm.
it really works for this world that they've built.
Hmm.
And
I
maybe
love the
eventually.
idea of him.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, you can keep going.
I was just gonna say, like, maybe eventually they will evolve him and make him look
Hmm.
a little bit more of the
Give
like
him like
colorful
some more green.
costume. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think at least for this one, it makes a lot of sense why he looks
Mm.
like this, and I think the like real world implications of why he's doing what he's doing, why
Hmm.
he has this tech. I know people argue the like, well, why does it all have to be Iron Man, blah blah. But I think it works very well having these real world connections of like people leave their trash after all these alien
Yeah.
invasions.
I
We're
love that he's a
taking
literal
that.
vulture. He's literally taking from the wreckage of the battle. He's taking from the corpses of the
Yeah,
cities, um, and he's turning it into something to use to make a
right.
profit. It's like it's a really really unique take on the vulture, and I think it's like I just think it's fantastic. And something else I really like about using the Vulture for this film is that is one of the first villains Spider-Man ever fights in the comics. I think he
Mm,
might be the first like real supervillain, unless the Chameleon was first. I don't remember. I've read those first couple comics, but it's been a minute. Um, but like the Vulture is one of like in issue two, I'm pretty sure is when he fights the Vulture. So it's really cool because technically, like it feels like Spider-Man: Homecoming is issue two of
right.
Spider-Man's time in the MCU, or in like because we don't see the origin story, which would be issue
We don't.
one.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I actually really like stepping like that's something I don't know why I love the origin stories, but I also like stepping into the world as it is, like with Spider-Man and Superman, for example. Like both of those, like just kind of getting into the middle of it, it's really interesting to me for a first movie. It's not something you see too often, so I really like that.
No, yeah, I think it works. And I think that's something I really appreciate from Spider-Man movies over the years, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
most of the time they're all different villains. Like I know, you
Yeah,
have like No Way Home, which is like an exception of that.
it's
But I
kind of
like
like a
how,
reruns best of.
yeah. But like I love having each villain it be like, well, we're adapting a villain people have never seen in live
Yeah.
action before, which is something you
Hmm.
can't necessarily say for like Batman, where it's like, all right,
No,
we
they
have like
always do the
3
Joker.
Jokers and
And
a bunch
Catwoman.
of
Joker and Catwoman, they do like every single
Catwoman,
time.
and
They've
Riddler's
done a
been
couple
done
Riddlers.
twice, and yeah, so it's like
They've done Two-Face twice.
Two-Face a couple times. Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And like I do appreciate that, and I'm excited for, No Way Home. Sorry, not No Way Home. Brand New
Brand New
Day, because it
Day.
seems like, well, I guess there's a couple villains because you have
We're finally getting the
Tombstone,
Scorpion.
we got the Scorpion.
Finally
There's
following up that Homecoming post-credit scene I've been wanting them to do. It's
yes.
like, it is funny though, because now the Vulture doesn't remember him.
Well, that's another thing. Yeah, Vulture. Like last time we saw the Vulture,
Yeah, because we're ignoring Morbius. We're just not thinking about it.
I was
It's not
mentioning this
canon.
last night. They're going to obliterate that. There's no way that's
No
canon.
way. Hmm.
There's no way, because that was a Sony shit. I,
Yeah.
I I imagine Kevin Feige probably saw that movie, or like saw all the like DMs from him after that happened. Was
Yeah.
like, God damn it, Sony! What are you doing? Stop doing
Yeah.
this
So
to
we're gonna
me.
pretend that the Vulture never left the MCU. The only
Yeah.
thing I could think of would be like, if they did want to keep that canon, um, I would like I actually like it's funny, my brother and I
Mhm.
have like we had talked about like a workaround for it where instead of having him go to the other universe because of the Doctor Strange spell, instead
Yeah.
it's because of that stuff in the Spider-Verse across the
Mm,
Spider-Verse where they've been rounding up
sure.
like villains who have been getting into the wrong universe and have Miguel send him back, that way he still remembers him, which would be
Cool.
interesting. But I don't
Some
want
little
anything
Easter
tying
egg.
into the Spider Verse for this next movie, so I'm gonna say not canon. He does not. He
Yes.
never left. He's still there. He's just in jail.
You can also, like, we got Secret Wars coming up. You could literally
Yeah,
just say, hey, it just never happened this time around. Like, it's all
yeah,
different now. Don't worry about it. It's a new,
yeah,
like, that's going to be their. I mean, I dealt with this with the Arrowverse for like many years. It's like, hey, it's
yeah,
Crisis. Crisis changed it. It
yeah.
never
We've
happened.
been
It's
we've
fresh
been we've
slate.
been down that road before. We were both big Arrowverse guys.
It's their
So
excuse to literally
yeah.
any continuity error.
It's
It's just
like that
like,
that bit with Cisco. He's like, I don't even remember buying this Superman shirt.
it's so yeah, no, it'll be very easy for them to just do that.
To just
But no, I
retcon it,
love
yeah.
I mean, this movie has so many of my favorite MCU scenes that, like,
Yeah.
I think the plot twist with Vulture is
Yeah, I was gonna say
masterclass.
that last 45 minutes or so of the movie, like after he gets the date with
Yep,
Liz and then he shows up to her door, those last 45 minutes are like near perfect,
I
honestly.
agree.
I think like another hot take, I think it's my favorite Spider-Man third act of all time. Um,
I might agree. I
yeah,
think it's a perfect,
he's
because like I think the
he's
first couple
down
acts,
to the
yeah,
bare minimum. He's
yeah,
got that well, not crappy because it's awesome, but like it's my favorite homemade suit. But that
yes,
sweatpants suit and then the clunky web shooters, and he's got nothing but himself and Ned. And also leaving the phone in the car was a genius move. Like that's something that I think like is just that was such a good strategy to be able to track him because he's gonna take the car to where he's gonna go so he can follow the phone.
hmm
Um, but like I just think that third act, he's chasing down the vulture, he's doing everything he can, and like the scene with Liz in the dance when he goes up to her after that talk, like
hmm
I don't know, it's like it kind of hits hard, like you don't deserve this, and he just leaves. It's like that's just
yeah,
pure Spider-Man. There's so many moments in that movie where I'm like, that is pure Spider-Man.
that's
Like
Spider-Man. Yeah,
earlier on when they're at the hotel and Liz is inviting him to the pool and he's on the roof and he's just looking down and he wants
at
to
what
go
he
in so
wants to
bad,
do.
but he
Yeah.
can't because he's got the responsibility. So he just puts on the mask and leaves. And then at the party earlier on, it's the same scene pretty much. He's on the roof, he's getting the Spider-Man costume on to go show up and be like, "Hey, I'm
hmm
Spider-Man. I'm validating all of these things that Ned said." But then something bad happens, he has to go. He can't do the thing he
uh,
wants to do. It's just, there's so many moments in that movie where it's like, that's what Spider-Man's all about. He wants to do the thing with his friends. He wants to do this thing to get the girl. He
yeah.
can't do it. He just can't.
I agree. Yeah, I think how this movie portrays responsibility, I like a lot. And I know, again,
Hmm.
not to go back to like the Twitter shit, but like,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people where it's like, well, he's not homeless and he's not broke and he
Yeah.
doesn't lose his job and he doesn't, and those things are fine. I love those kind
Yeah.
of stories with Spider-Man. I
And
love
we're
that,
getting
like,
that now. So it's like, yeah.
I again, yeah, but I see
Hmm.
there being no problem with taking the long way around. I don't think
Yeah.
Peter needs to be broke his first ever appearance. I think he
Yeah.
can,
When
like,
he's in high school and he has his aunt, like, he should be able to be at least a
yeah,
little, like, okay off. Like, I know, like, a lot of people, like, want him to be like, oh, he has to get this photography job in high school to take care of his aunt. And it's
yeah.
like, yeah, but also, like, I think the themes of responsibility and these choices that he's making are more important than, like, how much money he has.
No, for sure. And I think it's a lot more realistic, I think, to your audience of just being
Hmm.
like, okay, yes, you could go out and get the job. And like, again, like, there's that fantastic scene from like Spectacular Spider-Man I love when
Hmm.
he's like, okay, I can buy a new camera or I could like give this to my aunt for the rent,
Yeah.
and he has to choose the rent. I love scenes
Yeah.
like
I
that. But
love
like,
things like that.
I also I think it works here on just like,
Yeah.
hey, he's a kid, and like those, again, like it hurts you when he has to go up to Liz and be like,
Yeah. I'm
I
sorry. You
I
don't
have
deserve this. I gotta
I
go.
have to go, and he can't tell her what's
He can't
wrong,
tell her
and
why. He can't give her any explanation. He's
yeah,
left this poor girl so many times. Like,
yeah,
I really, like, every single time I watch it, I want it to end differently. Sometimes I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, you should just let the vulture do his thing, but obviously
Just
you can't because you're Spider-Man.
but also like I also love how like I'm almost there with Vulture. Like I'm so
Yeah.
close to being like,
Yeah.
well,
If he wasn't such a hypocrite, he would have a point. But like
it's
he's living in the lap of luxury right now. Like,
yeah. Like I'm
yeah.
like, well, yeah, like I'm not necessarily for the first class, and I do want to
Yeah.
see these working people get what they're due, and it's like,
Yeah.
but you
But
are
you're
putting
selling to
people in
weapons.
danger.
You're
Yeah.
selling the weapons to criminals who are gonna hurt
Mhm.
people, and like
Yeah.
that's not okay. There's a line somewhere. That's the thing. Villains with points always have to cross some sort of line in order to make them villains.
Yeah. No, it's so good, and like again, like Michael
Yeah,
Keaton's so good. Again, like just
Michael Keaton is so good.
going
He's
back to
like
that car sequence.
he's that perfect. Oh yeah, sorry, keep going.
I was just gonna say, like, I love how long that scene is. Like,
Yeah,
I think the MCU rarely has these very long, drawn out,
yeah,
like, cinematic scenes, but like it's the like slow burn of
yeah.
he's slowly piecing together
He's
who
piecing it
Peter is.
together. Cause
Peter
like
knows, but he
yeah,
can't say anything, and this back and forth.
yeah.
So it's just like,
And that there's two things I want to talk about in that scene specifically that
yeah,
I
no,
really love. One bit is when they're talking about DC. It's like, oh, you disappeared at DC, and like, oh, it was pretty scary what happened in DC. The Vulture's trying to like piece together if he's Spider-Man by like being like, I bet you were excited to see Spider-Man show up. You were relieved, and then Peter looks over at Liz. He's like, Liz knows I wasn't in the elevator. I
I can't
can't say I was
say.
in the elevator. I have to do it. It's going to put my identity at risk, but in order to protect it from Liz, I have to tell him that I
Yeah,
wasn't there.
it's
And
so good.
then at the very end, like when he like fully confirms it in his head, the light changes from red to green. It's
It's
such a
really
good use
good.
of like lighting in a film. Like I really like you're using the lighting to tell the story. That's what lighting in film is like usually
Hmm.
supposed to be, aside from being able to see things. But like using it in that way to tell that story, it really enhanced the scene. Um,
Yeah.
I just
No,
really liked that use of lighting and that use of like that. The writing in that scene was so good.
yeah, no, it's I have that vocal stem all the time where it's like, good old
Good old
Spider-Man, and
Spider-Man.
it's just like he
Yeah,
knows, and it's
he
like
knows.
you can see his brain
Yeah,
like, okay, how do I want to
yeah.
do this? How do I want to do
How do
it?
I go about this? I can't do this with Liz in here. She can't know what I'm doing, and she can't know what he's doing. Um,
Yeah,
like
it
it's just
is.
I don't know. It's that car scene is actually I said the bank scene was my favorite scene in the movie, but I think that car scene is actually my favorite scene in the movie. The
It's
bank scene's
tough.
my favorite like Spider-Man action scene in the movie because like he doesn't stop talking. He's like, his quips are on point. It very much felt like a comic book scene. But that scene is like, it's so dramatic. It's so like, I don't know, the writing is on point. Everything like is piecing together. It's just like a perfect scene, that car vulture scene.
Agreed. No, it is like it's up there. I think in like the MCU as well. Like
Absolutely.
I think at some point I'm gonna have to do an episode where it's like, okay, my favorite like Marvel
Yeah.
scenes of all time, and that's up there. I think that is up
Yeah.
there, along with just several minutes later when he's like under the Rebel, and he's
Oh my God, yes. I remember like when I was a kid, when I watched that movie for the first time in 2017, like I didn't know as much about the comics at that time, but I knew about that scene. And when I was watching, like, they're adapting this in the first movie, that's bold. Like
good.
doing If This Be My Destiny in the first movie is a really bold choice, but it really works. I really love that scene. The shot with him looking down and seeing his mask in the water and his face
His own
half reflected.
reflection. Yeah.
What a great shot. I'm getting chills just talking about it.
No, it is. It is a very well done sequence, and like I do think like it just shows why he doesn't need the suit. I think it goes into that narrative of like, and I feel like it's just like in terms of just its display, the strongest we've seen Spider-Man on screen. Look, obviously Toby and Andrew are also very strong. We've seen them do fantastic feats, but I think there has never been a like on-screen. There's been some stuff like with the Toby with the train and holding. That's awesome. But like physically seeing, oh, he is strong.
Yeah, there's
like,
two scenes like that in Homecoming for me. It's that one, and then there's the when he's holding together the ferry. Like even for only a couple seconds, that is an insane. I watched like Film Theory. Matt Pat did a video about that ages ago. That is like probably the single strongest feat Spider-Man has ever done. That's an insane amount of force on just his arms. Like that's an insane thing because he does hold it together for a solid like 3 seconds, which isn't a lot, but if you really think about how much he's holding there, it's insane.
Yeah. No, it is. It is. Again, like that sequence is also incredible, and just like like I think we already talked about earlier, but like I love the like, well, if you shouldn't, if you need this, then you shouldn't have it.
Then you shouldn't have it. I love that Peter is constantly like in Civil War and in Homecoming. A lot of the time, he's trying to prove himself to other people, to Tony Stark mostly, and like just to everybody, trying to prove that he can do more. He can be this hero. He's trying to prove himself to other people. But in that moment at the end, when he's crushed under that weight, he's not trying to prove himself to anybody except for himself. He doesn't know. He needs to prove himself to himself to know that he's worthy of this power and that he can do the right thing. So I just like that he goes from trying to prove himself to anybody else to trying to prove himself to himself, because he doesn't believe it until he remembers what he was told. He remembers everything he's been through, and he has to lift it up. He has to get out of there because he has to save everyone.
Agreed. Okay, let me speed run a couple of characters that I do want to highlight before we move on to our next movie here. Obviously, we talked about Peter, we talked about Vulture, we talked about Tony quite a bit. We got introduced to our May Parker here, Aunt May. I like her. I guess I don't love her, and maybe that's just because I think maybe she was mainly used as a bit, I think, for most of her appearances in this universe.
They didn't utilize her enough. I think her best role is in No Way Home, when she gets to like, because like in that one and in Homecoming, I think they actually utilize her pretty well in Homecoming as well. Because in those two films, she really gets to parent, and I think that is, I like that. She feels, I think I like her take on the character a lot, actually. Probably more than most. But I feel like she was ultimately underutilized.
I think in this movie especially, I think it's probably her. I guess the next one too, because she's just not really in the next one.
Oh, she's in Homecoming a lot more than Far From Home, I'd say.
100%. And like I think in this movie, it's just kind of like, well, she's hot, and that's the bit. It's just like, oh, well, it's a hot Anne, and we're kind of sexualizing her the whole time. And I think it works. I think it works with Tony a lot, but I think when like every character does it, I'm like, all right, guys, it's coming a lot.
It also kind of worked for me with Mr. Delmar, because I thought it was funny. It's like, oh, she's a very attractive Italian woman, and Peter says, well, how's your daughter?
Yeah,
Like
like, no, no, it's fine, fine,
that was
yeah.
some of that Parker sass I really liked.
Sure,
But
no, fair, and
yeah.
again, it does work, but I wish,
Hmm.
but again, there's that fantastic scene in this movie when like they're having that sit down. It's like, okay, what is going on with you?
Yeah,
Why are you going
that's one of
out?
my favorite Aunt May scenes. It's like I know you sneak out all the time. Like
Yeah,
I like that she's smarter than she lets on.
yeah,
Than she looks like, because like we're seeing it all from Peter's perspective. We don't really see too much of Aunt May. So like that scene where she reveals that she knows he sneaks out. She knows like he's been
yeah,
missing and like skipping classes and things like that. It's like, oh yeah, she's a fully aware person. She's smarter
yeah,
than Peter thinks she is. She knows what's
and
going on. She just doesn't know what's going on.
and there's probably this like element of like, well, I know I'm not his mom, and I'm trying to give him a little bit of
Yeah,
that freedom,
in
but he
space
needs
and
a
like,
parent right
yeah.
now. Like he
But he
needs,
does, yeah. He
yeah,
needs a little bit of structure because like
yeah.
in order for his life to be somewhat normal.
Happy's in a bit of this movie.
Yeah.
I think I like Happy more in the Spider-Man movies than I do in the Iron Man movies. I don't know. I think I
I
love
gotta
his
watch the
dynamic
Iron
with
Man
Peter.
movies again to really like remember. Like Happy is almost more memorable in the Spider-Man movies.
Yes,
I think it was an interesting choice to make him a Spider-Man character, but he really works actually. I don't know.
he
I
does.
liked him.
He Yeah, I almost feel like he's sometimes more of a father figure than like Aunt May's a mother figure to Peter, which is interesting. I guess he's more like that
At
uncle
least
figure for
more in
Peter.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's more of like an uncle figure in Far From Home
Yes.
and No Way Home, because it's a similar sort of thing. He respects him more after Homecoming because he does not like him in Homecoming. It's really funny how much he doesn't want to be there.
But
um
but also I think Tony's death was probably a big thing in
yeah,
that where it's like, well, he's
it's
dead.
something that they could relate over too.
That and also like his lasting legacy. Like Peter was one of his
Yeah.
lasting legacies as a hero.
Yeah,
So it's
something
like,
I
well,
always
now
talk about
yeah.
with the MCU for Iron Man's arc, especially like something I noticed like when doing a big MCU rewatch a couple of years back, is that every single like appearance of Iron Man early on in the MCU and even into like Civil War and stuff, there's a central theme of legacy and what you leave behind, because
Mm,
that's like his whole origin story is about his legacy. It's like, oh, I don't want this
yeah.
weapons like thing to be my legacy. And then so every single thing he's doing is trying to like leave something positive behind so he'll be remembered fondly and like to do the right
Yeah.
thing. So like seeing Peter as like kind of a physical embodiment of that, while also breaking away from that, is like I
Hmm.
love that Happy he kind of can allow Peter to break away from that in ways, where now Peter's not really Tony's legacy, he's more of May's legacy. Um,
Sure.
like doing the things that May believed in: when you help someone, you help everyone. It's on her gravestone in both Spider-Man and No Way Home. Um,
Agreed.
I think it's a really interesting arc, and I think they utilized Happy pretty well in these movies.
Agreed. Yeah. Like he doesn't do a lot here, but yeah, I think come Far
Yeah,
From Home and then No Way Home, like they really utilize him, I think, in an
yeah,
interesting
he's more
way.
of comedic relief here, and I think he does that job pretty well. I like the
Hmm.
part where like Ned's finally doing his guy in the chair bit, and he's like he calls Happy, and he's like, hello, who is this? He's like, this is Ned Leeds, I'm an associate of Peter Parker. He's like, you gotta be kidding me, and he just hangs up.
Hangs up instantly.
Immediately. It's so funny.
I mean, good transition. Ned in
Hmm.
this movie.
Yeah,
I think this is my favorite Ned
I was
appearance
gonna
in the
say this is Ned's
MCU.
best appearance. It's
Yeah,
this and then Far From No Way Home and then Far From Home, I think, for Ned.
yeah,
I like
yeah.
him in all three though.
I think he works. I've never been the like. I've never been like I love Ned, but I've always liked Ned. I think he works very well. I think especially in this one, I do just really
Hmm.
enjoy his antics of just like, wait, can you do this? Can you do this?
Yeah.
Can you do it? Like I think that really works, especially from an audience perspective. Especially this if this is someone's first like Spider-Man movie, I think it works in just because like, well,
Yeah.
can you? Like, can you do this? I
Yeah.
don't
It's
know.
like, can you talk to spiders? Like,
I think this is a solid if this is your first ever introduction to the character, I think he works as your good audience point of like,
mhm.
so who is Spider-Man? Like what
Yeah,
can he really do?
what can
And
Spider-Man do? What are his limits?
yeah,
What's he got going on?
yeah. But I enjoy him here. Zendaya as MJ is introduced in here as well.
Not given a lot to do, which is an interesting use of Zendaya.
It is it is interesting that she is like characters like Flash and Liz and
Hmm.
I'd even argue like Aaron Davis have a more important role in the story
Yeah,
than her here, which
yeah.
is I think one of my issues with Far From Home a little bit is because I wanted that transition to feel a lot more smooth. I'm fine with it
Hmm.
here, her not being a big role, but they kind
Hmm.
of jump into Far From Home being like, oh,
Yeah,
they are like really close, and he's
yeah.
infatuated with her. It's like, whoa, all right, we moved.
Yeah,
There was a
I kind
jump
of do
that
get it
happened.
though in some way
Yeah,
because like when you're young like that, you kind of do
that's
jump from crush to crush pretty quick.
that is
Um
true.
but like it's also like I wouldn't have minded when they originally announced like the Spider-Man freshman year show when it was called that. I
Yeah.
was kind of hoping they would like do another like do that as the origin story for MCU Peter Parker and then do a second
Hmm.
season that's in between Homecoming and Infinity War to kind of bridge that gap a little bit.
That would have been
I
cool.
still would
Yeah.
love if they would do something like that with an animated show because they can't do it live action. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I understand and kind of agree with the complaint, but I also don't mind. So it's like I don't know.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Mm,
That's fair. I mean, I already mentioned him a little bit, but Aaron Davis also makes an appearance in
yeah,
this movie,
I
which
love Donald Glover in that role.
you too. I really hope by the time they're finally going to do a live action Miles that he's still,
Hmm.
good enough and willing. Again, I don't know when they're doing it,
Yeah.
if it's in the next
Well, he
5 or
came
10
back
years,
for
but
Beyond the Spider-Verse, so maybe he'll come back for another Spider-Man.
I
I
really
feel
want
like
to
he
see him
would.
do that.
I
Yeah,
do too. I want to see him like in the Prowler costume doing his Prowler stuff.
yeah, no, he's great.
Yeah.
I love his personality. I love that
Hmm.
sequence where he's like, You've never done this before, have you?"
Yeah.
Like
It's like I know what a girl sounds like. I
it
also
is
love like at the end, he's like he's got him webbed to the car. He's like, by the way, that'll dissolve in 2 hours. Like, no, you gotta let me go. I got ice cream in there. He's like, nope, you deserve it. You're a criminal. Bye, Mr. Criminal.
and like I'd be so excited to see like his again, like like I think it's interesting that they Miles already exists in this continuity
Yeah,
because
he's
now I'm
like a
like,
little kid
well, how
probably.
is he like
Yeah, he
again,
has
they
to
could just
be young. Would he in order to really make it work, he has to
yeah.
be like maybe like 5 or 6 in
Yeah,
2017, and then he has to snap. He has to get blipped.
right.
In order to make it so you can have a young Miles Morales when Peter Parker can eventually retire. Because I still
No,
don't
for
want him to
sure.
retire for a little bit. It feels like we're just barely getting started.
I mean, I think if we do Miles, I'm still under the idea. I kind of want them to do it like Insomniac, where I think I
Yeah,
would
where
like
they're
both
both
to
Spider-Man
exist
for a
for a
while.
while.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I want Peter
like
like to have at least like 1 or 2 more on his own, and then you can introduce
yes.
Miles and start it going. Especially if you want to have Miles around Kamala's age so they can be friends. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Yeah,
so that's kind of where I
yeah.
stand.
No, for sure. Like I think like I don't think you always have to kill off characters to have the
No,
actor retire from their role. Like I think when Tom
yeah.
is done, just don't show him. Like he's off on a little thing elsewhere, and you can just show
Hmm.
Miles' adventures without. Like you can do that. You don't have to kill off.
Yeah.
And then in like 8 years, Tom can be like, "Yeah, I'll come back. I've done all my other things. I've done this thing. I'll come
Hmm.
back for a." I don't know, a seventh Spider-Man movie or
Hmm.
whatever. So like
Or
that's how I
something,
would do
yeah.
it. Yeah. Um, we had a little bit of Shocker, we had a little bit of Scorpion, had
Hmm.
a little bit of Flash in here. None of
Yeah.
really impact me. Like I think most of the characters are more so like the idea of the characters and less about the
Yeah.
characters themselves.
Hmm.
So
It's like, oh,
Flash
it's
is weird for
Spider-Man High
me.
School. You have to have Flash Thompson.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
don't
it was an
love this
interesting
Flash,
take.
but like I don't know.
I think it's
Good.
funny. I think like this is gonna be another hot take. He's my second favorite
Okay.
Flash. My favorite's the
Interesting.
Amazing Spider-Man. Because I think this is an
I same.
interesting modern take on Flash Thompson, where he's not the traditional jock bully, but he's more
Mm-hmm.
of like if you're at this kind of technology school, that's more of the kind of jerk you're gonna
Yeah.
come across.
He's
Um,
an yeah.
and I think it's interesting because he likes to think of himself as smarter than Peter, which is an interesting take on the character because usually he doesn't care about that. Um, so it's like he's got
Yeah.
like the basic of being the school bully there, um, and then they kind of just do other stuff with him. And I like his obsession with Spider-Man, especially in the second one. Um, But
I
yeah, I
guess
don't
I
know.
just
It's unique. It's different.
I guess I wish there was just a little bit more nuance because like
Yeah.
he's never been a not joke character, and it's fine to make him a little jokey. I think it
Hmm.
works to a point, but like I would like to see them like take him a little bit more seriously in the future if
Yeah.
we bring him back. Like I would like to see
Yeah.
him like like he doesn't come across as an actual character to me, but
Hmm.
just like a machine for jokes to
Hmm.
go against Peter. And I would have liked to have
They
seen just
do. Yeah.
a little more from him is all I
Yeah.
guess.
They do give us like a little glimpse of that in arguably comedic way in Far From Home with like when he
Sure.
at the airport when he's like,
Yes.
oh, could mother not make it? It's like that's sad when you really think about it. That's deeply sad,
Yeah.
but it's also like a little bit of a joke. But I don't know, I feel like if they wanted to, they could really flesh out that character more in future projects, but I don't know if they're gonna really bring him back.
I like again
It's
like
weird.
I would love to like play with that a little bit. It's like, okay, he is a character that is such a dick because he's had
Yeah.
a really rough home life. Maybe his
Yeah.
parents like
It's like, yeah, sure, he's rich, but he doesn't have any meaningful relationships, which is
yeah,
arguably more important. But then again, now Peter doesn't have any meaningful relationships anymore either because he's all on his
yeah.
own. So I feel
Which
like they could meet again and kind of relate then.
I know, like I know people are like, I don't want him to be like the MCU's Venom and stuff like that. But like
Hmm.
I think there's a world where I really like that. Like, play
Hmm.
into his like loneliness, play into
Yeah.
like he has no one
Hmm.
and no one actually really likes him, which makes that
Yeah.
connection with Venom feel even more impactful. Where it's like,
That
well,
could
now
be
you do have
interesting.
somebody, you have me,
Yeah.
I am all you need, and play into that. Where it's like, I thought he was just this silly little guy, but he's
Yeah.
actually a real threat for me, and this is bad, and I don't want to hurt him. And
Hmm.
maybe Peter has to retell him he is. I don't know. Like, I think there's
Yeah.
something there that could be really cool if done well.
Oh, ooh, because in the second Venom movie, in the post-credit scene, they established that the symbiotes have a hive mind.
Yeah.
So if he did bond with the symbiote, he would probably remember Peter Parker as Spider-Man.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Or it's like,
Yeah,
you lied to me, Peter. Like, how could you
yeah.
how could you
He's
do
like
this to the
that
world?
weird nerd I bullied, or like nerd, he's a
Yeah.
nerd too. But that weird kid I bullied at school,
Hmm.
he's Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, I do think there could be a very interesting POV where like Peter Parker, you are the true villain of the world. Who gives you
Hmm.
the right to affect all these people
Yeah.
like this? Like
And
that
then
could be really
also,
cool.
like the angle of like him being like, Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and somebody he knew in high school is like, "Who's Peter Parker?" And he's like,
The
the
insanity.
guy who kept disappearing, the guy in DC, like blah blah blah. It's like, I don't know who you're
Ooh.
talking about. We never knew anyone named Peter Parker.
Yeah, like there
Like,
is this like insanity angle that you
yeah,
could
he's
pull
like,
where it's like,
it's like he's real. The black goo in my head told me he's real. And
it's
then,
like gaslighting him
yeah,
into like,
the
look,
voices
what
in my head told me Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'd be into that for sure.
Hmm.
All right, moving on to our second movie here. I did not have
Yeah.
time to fully rewatch it. Well, I watched the first 40 minutes this morning. I unfortunately
Hmm.
slept in more than I wanted to see as long. Obviously, Endgame was such a big conversation that it was missing a little bit. But we have Spider-Man: Far From Home, also a 2019 movie. I was thinking how close they were in release. They were a couple months apart.
They
Like,
spoiled Tony's death, technically. They did. I think it was like the trailers were coming up before even Endgame came out, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, they had to edit it very carefully. Where it's like, oh, Peter's back. Okay, we'll see what happens there and how he comes back and stuff like that. And then after Endgame came out, I remember the ad. It was Tom Holland before the trailer because the movie had just come out. It's like, hey guys, just gonna have spoilers for Avengers Endgame if you've not seen Endgame.
Oh,
Let's have
okay.
the trailer that I thought was so funny that they had to do that because it was like so close together, which would never happen now. I don't think that would be a disaster if they did that now. But they could get away with that then because didn't both make $1 billion?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, yeah. I think 1,000% they made billion. Well, I mean, Endgame made like 2 billion, and I think
Yeah.
Far From Home made about $1 billion.
Yeah.
It says 1.1 billion. Yep. So Yep.
crazy stuff. They were
Crazy stuff.
at the top of the world. They were like they could do no wrong in this era.
They're flying high, man.
Thoughts on Far From Home?
Thoughts on Far From Home? I don't know. It's funny. I've actually rewatched this one more than Endgame because I've done a lot of Spider-Man rewatching
Oh, sure, yeah.
from like, you know, when No Way Home was coming out, and as well as when they re-released all the movies in theaters a year or two ago. I go back and forth on it because out of the trilogy, No Way Home's definitely my preference for his film, but it's very hard because that's like the only two solo outings he gets is really the Homecoming and this one, and No Way Home's very much a sort of crossover. I know he still gets his own moments in there, but it's obviously hyped up about Toby and Andrew coming back.
Yeah.
But Far From Home has its highs and lows. I've always come to it just being kind of in the middle for me. I like the cast. Jake Gyllenhaal's a great Mysterio, but I don't like his motivations very much. And I think I am very much rewatching this movie. I will be honest with you. Oh my god, Maria Hill and Nick Fury pissed me off so fucking much. I cannot get over how they were like, yeah, get this kid, help this kid. It's like, and then it's even worse because those scrolls are just so stupid. I'm so sorry, but the scrolls are so damn stupid.
It's only justified by it being scrolls. You know, the whole time I'm like, Nick Fury wouldn't say this or he wouldn't do that. So I do think it was smart to be like, okay, this is kind of because I think to make Mysterio's thing work, it couldn't have been our Nick Fury, right? Because there's like Nick Fury would have caught it very instantly. Like he would have done all like as soon as he came down, he'd be like, bullshit. All right, lock him up, get him out of here. Like he would not let that slide. So I do think it works that it's like, okay, yeah, it's not really them actually.
Yeah, it's a very convoluted plan to get the Edith glasses from Peter because I feel like everything had to go perfectly to plan, and it had to have that Nick Fury and Nick Fury was stupid. Because otherwise he would have caught on probably more quickly if it was our actual Nick Fury. But I do like the Mysterio illusions. I think I think the backstory was the first, technically our first introduction to the multiverse idea.
Yes.
In the movies, with him saying I'm from six. Yeah, he's like I'm from 616 and this is 823 or whatever, and then blah 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 blah. I think I like Peter a lot. He wants to just be a kid, dude. I just feel so bad for him. He's like, I just want to be on vacation, and they just keep calling me. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you. Let me know what you think. I swear I remembered in Homecoming there being more basically more reference to there being something romantic between MJ and Peter. But I think I was kind of not in a bad way because I love MJ and Peter in this movie, but I feel like I was a little bit gaslit to think like, oh yeah, this was like already set up before, right? It wasn't.
It's such an I would say out of nowhere setup because I think it kind of works with teenager because that's kind of how teenage romance works, where it's like you will not notice each other at all, and then one day you're like, oh yeah, they're pretty. All right, I'm gonna ask about you. That happens, but yeah, in Homecoming, it's not there at all, which I actually kind of like. I like that. Like sometimes it's just a very subtle progression where it's just like they're just a character in someone's lives. Like they are there, they're in the background, they're someone else. I maybe would have liked a little bit more setup in this movie because they open up being like, all right, I'm gonna ask her out, we're gonna do this thing. I was like, whoa, all right, like ease us into it a little bit, buddy. Like, maybe show, I don't know, a little back and forth before we I don't know. But again, like that's very like teenage coded where it's just like, yeah, they just do that. That's just how teenage romance works sometimes, I think.
It's the same they do that with Ned and Betty. Remember, they're just automatically like, "Yeah, we're together now. Hey, babe, how are you doing, babe?"
It's so like I want to be like it's so silly, but like that's just how it works. Like
it works
ironically
like that.
One of the better representations of how like teenage romance operates. And I don't know if these movies are the greatest about like portraying real like teenagers and how they act, but in terms of that far, I'm like, yeah, that's how it ends up happening. Like you'll be not dating, and then the next second you're like, oh, they're in love and they've been dating, and it's just we got to move on from that or whatever.
And no, you're right. I think it does make a realistic portrayal of that. So it's not even I don't think it's like a bad take at all. Very good.
Yeah. Um, I this is an I have a hard time talking about this movie because I love a lot this movie does. I think this movie does a lot of really cool things. I think there's a lot of great moments and scenes and ideas, and then there's scenes where I'm just like, I don't know how this works for me, and I think it's a mix. I think it's a mixed bag of a Marvel movie. I think it's a mixed bag of a Spider-Man movie, and I think, yeah, like there's great ideas here. There's great moments. There's great scenes. But then there'll be a scene where I'm like, God damn it! I'm like, why did you do that? I was like, I don't like that or whatever.
No, you're right. I agree with you. It's a very mixed bag. I like it more than Homecoming personally,
Oh,
but
really?
I prefer Homecoming for other scenes. It's the thing about it also being a mixed bag for me. Besides No Way Home, which I kind of definitively like, I think it's like Far From Home and Homecoming that kind of like I'm kind of like back and forth on.
Okay.
Far From Home has the unfortunate whole sort of I guess they kind of carry it over from Homecoming, where I'm just kind of like, can we stop? Like, I understand it's very fresh in the universe that Tony died and that they all think he should be the next Iron Man, basically. But I was very much annoyed about that whole wanting to pass that mantle down. And it's not even like Tony passing it down to him, really. It's everybody in the public and everyone thinking he should be the next Iron Man. And I'm just not into the idea. I just feel like Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is all I ever wanted. And I've always liked, I've always liked just a Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And I just feel like the connection to Tony is good when it first started, but I feel like it's a little detrimental to the character to have to keep that connection so strong with the Edith glasses and then Mysterio having the motivation more from
Yeah.
Tony rather than Peter. It's a mixed bag, like you said. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I'm so frustrated about that because I kind of a little bit disagree, but the movie kind of goes out of its way to kind of disagree with me back in a way because I really love what the main story this movie tries to do because I think the point is that Peter isn't Tony, right? I think
Yeah.
the main story narrative is that like everyone expects me to be the new Tony Stark. Nick Fury does, Happy does, people does, even my aunt and even I do to an extent, and I don't want to be Tony Stark. I want to be the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's what he's been fighting for since day one. That's what I love Homecoming. I love the ending of Homecoming where it's like I'm not. That's not what I want to do, and he's kind of got thrown into that life. Although I think they do a really good job about that to a point where it's like, no, I'm not Tony. I'm not. That's not who I am. But then they'll have a scene where it's like, oh, he's doing the exact same thing. Like I think the scene between him on the plane with Happy, I think that's such a brilliant scene where it's like, you're not Tony Stark. You're never going to be Tony Stark.
Yeah.
That's okay because you're Spider-Man and that's who you are. But then you immediately have him like turning on the like the music and like, well, you guys, you're kind of like making it. Are you Tony Stark or are you not Tony Stark? Like I do think this movie has a hard time distributing that and like pushing that forward, and I think No Way Home does a lot better job of that. Like he is Peter Parker, he's that. But then you even open that movie with like him in like the Iron Spider suit, and I'm like, my guy probably shouldn't be wearing it here. It's a little bit of a they kind of drop the ball a little bit. Like they keep introducing this idea, I am not Tony Stark, I'm not Tony Stark, I'm not Tony Stark, but they do keep trying to make him Tony Stark a little bit. So I kind of have a love-hate with the themes and ideas of this in particular movie, and I'm like, you were so close to nailing it. You were right there, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. You're right. The themes are kind of all over the place, I think, with being I'm not Tony, but let's give you some Tony traits, like the AC/DC stuff. I mean, but you're right. I mean, maybe I don't know. I just wish. Well, now we might be getting that, obviously, but I just think that now is a great time in his in the MCU now that he would probably be able to just stay away from being able to stay on his own. I think it still works though, right? Because I guess we were gonna expect still like this kind of like like passing of the torch, but knowing that like I'm not Iron Man, very basically. But I don't know. I get kind of silly with my with me being like, oh man, this movie wouldn't have gone over the way it did unless like the scrolls weren't so stupid and and if Quentin Beck wasn't like able to get Peter to give him the glasses, I guess it wouldn't have happened basically. But
Yeah.
those are nitpicks. I'm not trying to make it like that's the whole detriment to the film. I do like though Quentin Beck is a very good like basically how do you call him? Like he's a very good at being able to just trick you and his person. Like I like the way he tries to get in with Peter being like, you know, don't you shouldn't like he even insists like don't worry about it. You're not Tony Stark, you know, just be yourself. But that was a way to get him to give him the glasses on purpose.
It's
Um
yeah.
yeah, and also just the kind of like Quentin is extremely smart in that way of how he's able to put on such a show and being able to do this and that, where he even kind of knew that he was like, I don't know what's going on with Nick Fury, but I'm gonna take the advantage I have right now and just
Yeah.
let him think everything I'm saying is true.
Yeah.
He's a fun villain, but still with that Tony connection, just this a little bit still like we kind of retreading this whole Vulture thing we did. Remember? Uh,
Yeah, I get it. I personally don't have a huge issue with it being that connection to Tony. I do wish maybe they maybe change directions a little bit, like add it more into the narrative a little bit to Peter's journey to make it seem a little bit more streamlined. Like
yeah.
add it into like the conversation where it's like even the villains I'm facing are Tony's, and have that be the narrative of like I can't even escape his villains and I can't even escape his. I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like maybe there is a fun narrative to be had there. But I do love this. I love Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. I think he's a really
yeah.
good villain. I think the strongest thing the Spider-Man trilogy has going for it is the villains, in my opinion. Because I adore Vulture, I adore Mysterio for the most part. I love Green Goblin. I love what they did
Oh
with
yeah.
William in that movie. Like they are. I think these movies are at their best when it's Peter via these villains just going fully at it. I love this. I think this is some of my favorite fight scenes of the trilogy. Like this is my least favorite from the trilogy, but the individual fight scenes, especially with him versus Quentin and versus Mysterio, are just incredible. The scene after Peter finds out who he is and he goes through and he's like traumatizing him through these series of whatever. Yeah. You have like the 1,000 Spider-Mans burying him into the ground and he sees Tony's skull and he goes through and he gets hit by the train. It's like, holy shit, that's like genuinely one of my favorite fight scenes I think in the MCU. I think that's incredible. And then the final fight scenes I love a lot. I don't love the Peter tingle of it all. I think that's one of the things where I'm like, okay, we're doing the MCU thing that goes a bit too far in the humor sometimes. But like besides that, when he has to like close his eyes, takes a deep breath, and he's just going by pure instinct, I think that's one of the best interpretations of the like spider sense. As weird as it sounds, because he doesn't call it the spider sense here, but like that's such a cool scene. And then when he like catches the like bullet, like he catches the hand, is like,
yeah,
you can't trick me no more. And it's so sick.
Yeah, I agree with you. Those are pretty cool fight scenes. Visually looks awesome as well. What was I gonna say? The I think that's what people usually like criticize about it is that they feel like it's just fighting with drones and stuff. But I think it's smart in the way they do it though, right? Like you're saying, like the visuals make it pretty nice to look at, as well as just showing the trauma that he's giving to Peter, but also just to kind of be like, this is a kind of a battle between, you know, maybe just more like intellect a little bit, you know, like kind of just more like I need to know like what his tricks are that he's doing, because Quentin is smart in that he's able to like trick him in with these like visuals that he's just, you know, needing to make sure if he like he can feel it and stuff. I will say one thing I'm a little bit disappointed in, and not anymore because obviously it's been so long since the movie came out, but when it originally was being promoted, I was very disappointed not to get a version of Hydra Man, the Sandman, and Molten Man. Because I love Hydra Man from the original '90s cartoon, and I was like, wait a second, what the heck?
Yeah,
we're getting Hydra Man. Yeah, the Elementals are just an illusion, but you know, I think it works now. I don't mind it anymore.
We can save maybe some of those villains for later on in the trilogy. And I definitely do remember being in class being like, oh my gosh, we got Hydro Man in here. We can add him to like our Sinister Six lineup, and we're bringing up the whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like again, like I just shouted out two scenes I really love, and now I feel I'm going to go the other side of scenes I don't love. I don't love the escort scene with like
Oh God.
And there's a plot line where it's like, oh, he was with an escort, and the drone scene in the bus I just think is I get I think too much hate because I know people like to post that scene on Twitter every month and it gets annoying, but like it is a bad scene. Like I don't like the scene at all. I don't think it's a good representation of Peter and how incapable he's kind of coming across there. Like I don't think Homecoming Peter would have been in a situation like that. And inherently, I know accidents happen, but even then, I'm just like, I don't love the tone. I don't love this kind of vibe. It's kind of a weird vibe that I don't quite love. And again, it's one of those things of just sometimes these movies get a little bit too goofy for my liking. Like I think when people think of MCU humor, this is what they're thinking of. This is what they're talking about. Where it's just like,
yeah. I thank you for bringing that up. The escort scene is really odd. I don't know why they added it in there. Just the fact too that I hated Brad so much in this movie, dude. He was so annoying. It's just the fact that it's like, I know you're into MJ, so I'm gonna try to ruin your life. And also, don't take pictures of people in the bathroom, dude. That's not a good look. Oh, but I will say, what about the suits? What do you think about the suits in this movie? What is your opinion?
I love the red and black suit. The red and black suit's in my like top 3 live action Spider-Man. Yeah. I fucking I'm like not actually playing it, but I've been hopping back on the first Insomniac Spider-Man game, just fighting, swinging around and stuff. And that's currently my ongoing suit is like the red with the black. Especially towards the end, like when it's like battle damage, he has his mask off. It's like it looks really sick. It looks awesome. Really, really cool. Obviously, I prefer the red and blue, but in general, like that's one of the coolest. I think that's my favorite Tom Holland Spider-Man suit up until his red and blue he gets at the end of No Way Home.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the red and black's always worked for me. It always looks so cool in that movie. And it's funny too because I'm even a kind of partial to his Night Monkey suit. I actually quite like the stealth looking suit. It looks pretty nice. It's the closest, since we got Spider-Man Noir's trailer, it was the closest at the time of being to a live action version of sort of a Spider-Man Noir-esque, but it looked pretty cool. I think you're right, though. I think the red and black is probably my favorite of his Tom Holland suits. Yeah, besides the ending. And also the new one we're getting with set photos and stuff. I love that new suit. But the black and red is always so cool.
And it's cool that, like, Spider-Man can kind of have these different, like it kind of feels like you're playing Insomniac games a little bit because you have these different suits that he can have on. But there's these different, like in the comics, there's so many different eras of suits, and like it's still Peter, but he's going under like a different name for like a mission or an episode or like a run of the comics. It's cool that like that's the like Night Monkey era or like whatever. Like that's kind of cool, and I think it's cool. I think that's my favorite way of how to incorporate new suits in movies because obviously I know like. There's always going to be, they have to make new Funko Pops and new, merchandise and new Fortnite skins, and they have to do new suits for each movie. And I think it's cool to just be like, hey, this was a suit we made for just this portion of the movie because the plot said we had to have it, but he has his normal suit that he can kind of have throughout the movie and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm weirdly in the camp of when it came to No Way Home. I know people complain about the black and gold just being an inside-out version of the suit. But strangely enough, I actually quite like the way it looks. It looks pretty cool. I also like using it in the Somniac game, actually. It looks pretty cool when I'm swinging around. But I understand plot-wise it is pretty stupid. Mysterio lives! Okay, I can't get the stain out. No! Okay, I'll just put it inside out. Anyway, but...
Yeah.
In terms of Far From Home, though, yeah, that's a good suit. What about... What do you think about, since we brought it up earlier, MJ and Peter's relationship as it progressed?
Yeah, I like it. I think I like it here. Actually, it might be my favorite of them, maybe in the MCU, at least so far. Like, we don't get much time on that in No Way Home. It's kind of glossed upon in part. Aside the ending bits where they're really good in there. But like, yeah, I like them. I think it's cute. I think it's nice to have just a very casual relationship. Sometimes maybe it doesn't work as well, but I think in general, like I think especially towards the end, like once she knows he's Spider-Man, their dynamic is so adorable, so cute. I like the ending bit when they go in, like Peter's exhausted and she's worried about him, and they go and they have their hug moment. It's just so. I think it's one of the only like actual ongoing relationships in the MCU currently, because the MCU has really gotten away from like every relationship has either they broke up or they died or the characters are no longer in the MCU. And I guess you can argue they're currently like that right now, but it's clear that they'll be back together eventually. Like eventually we'll circle back around to them, doing whatever. But I like them. I think they're cute. I would have liked maybe a little bit more build up in the first act of the movie, but I think they're pretty cute.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think the buildup would have been beneficial, but it still works for me as well. And you're right; they actually act like a genuine, like the chemistry in for their ages in this film too. It also makes sense for the awkwardness between the characters and stuff and liking each other, but they're like, I don't want to say it up front and stuff. Kind of that kind of dynamic. It works pretty well. It's like besides, I guess obviously, Peter and Gwen from the Andrew Garfield movies, which I've loved. They're probably my second favorite, I think, for like their relationship, like in terms of the Spider-Man films we've gotten so far. But in terms of MCU, you're right. I think it's probably one of my favorites for sure. It just works. MJ also is great to have in this movie. I like that she's like aware that she was kind of like, I think I knew you were Spider-Man, but I didn't want to say anything. I totally wasn't just looking at you because I liked you either. Like, don't get that twisted, obviously.
And like, it kind of works. I mean, it's weird because I don't know if it's technically supposed to be a version of Mary Jane or whatever, but like if it is, like it kind of works in that like in what some versions of it is like she's the reporter. I know they don't always go that route. Sometimes they go a different route, but if they are going that route, it works there. It works trying to building that up. If that's how they eventually, I imagine they'll go that route instead of the model route.
Yeah,
the version of the character fits more in that route. So that would be cool if they go that direction.
Yeah, I hope so, because I always felt like Mary Jane just kind of gets sidelined when Peter's stories in the comics. I don't think she's ever given like, I don't know. I like it when she's a reporter. It gives her more to do, and I think that adds a lot more to her character. I liked it in the Insomniac games.
Yeah.
And if you ever watched Ultimate Spider-Man, the cartoon, she also has that motivation. She wants to work for the Daily Bugle and all that kind of thing. But yeah, no, you're right.
I'm really curious what they're going to give her in Brand New Day, because I know so many people are against her being in that movie, but I'm kind of like, I think this is their opportunity to cement her as a character that's not just Peter Parker's girlfriend, right? I think it gives them the opportunity to be like, who is MJ that isn't just her partner, who doesn't just know. And that, I don't think she'll be a big role, but I think this gives them that opportunity to be like, okay, establish her first before we eventually, undo everything and reset the spell and all that jazz.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I do like that she'll be standing on her own and not having to be connected to Peter necessarily. But I have seen funny things about if she does have a new love interest, like by herself, not like as a big plot point, that they'll just make it Paul. Paul from the comics, the infamous Paul. It'd be a funny gag, but obviously, yeah, I think if they'll add her in there, it's not going to be a big part, and if it is, it's going to be showing her being on her own and stuff. I mean, it is kind of sad too. Like, I know we're getting away from Far From Home, but in No Way Home, it's relevant to Far From Home. The Black Dahlia necklace, she still wears it by the end of the movie. It's just curious to be like, I wonder where she thinks she got it from.
Yeah, that is interesting. I'll run through a couple last points.
Okay.
We have the Mayan happy things stuff. I could say. I can take or leave their dynamic. I think I don't mind them together, but I don't love the bit of we need to talk about what you're doing with my aunt or whatever. It's a bit too much sometimes.
Yeah, it's a little awkward, but not in a good way. And it's also kind of again, I don't really care. And they also just got away from it by the next movie, so it doesn't even matter.
I like. I actually don't know if I fully agree with that. Like, I like the scene when Happy comes like out of the car and he sees May on the ground. Like, he sees that she has died.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
that seems good. Yeah.
I actually kind of like it in that movie because it feels more
Mhm.
natural. It feels more casual. It feels more organic. Where here it's like, okay, it's very in our face what they're doing, and they're trying to push this.
Oh, yeah, you're
In
right. That
general,
makes, looking at it in that lens, you're right. I agree.
in general, this is definitely my least favorite May movie out of the trilogy. I guess
Yeah.
in general, actually, she's just kind of there for the comedy relief. The Peter Tingle thing, I'm not a fan of. And like I really enjoy her in Homecoming. Like I think what works in like she has that in Homecoming too, but like it's balanced by her nuances when she's like, where have you been? Like, what are you doing?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
worried about you. Like, what is going on? Like, it's balanced in those, and obviously, like, No Way Home is filled with so many scenes like that and so many moments like that. Where, yeah, here it's just like, okay, she's the comedic relief.
Yeah, it's because of the setting they decided to place this in. It just doesn't give her any ability to actually be within the plot very heavily. So, mhm.
Happy's a sometimes he's great in this movie. Like I love the scene like in the plane where and I love the like, hey kid, what's going on? Are you okay? What's going on? And like
Yeah.
like I thought that was such a fantastic scene. I love how like paranoid Peter is in that scene as well. Just like I need to make
It's
sure you are like please. I thought the like porn joke was a bit off, but like besides that, like that scene is
Oh,
fantastic.
yeah, like
Uh,
yeah, I also agree. A little weird, but yeah, I was like, okay, it works. It's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. And then yeah, like when they're in the plane, I just think that's just fantastic. And he's fully like again, now that Tony is gone, I think he's just like this is the thing that Tony left in his legacy, and like I will protect this thing with all I can, like all my might. And I do really love Peter and Happy's dynamic, and it makes it so heartbreaking that he doesn't know who he is at the end of No Way Home. Like I really enjoy that stuff.
Yeah, it's a yeah, I agree. I do like their dynamic. I have one more thing about it. I was
Yeah.
gonna say, what is your opinion on like how they decided to go with the narrative with the sort of class trip and going across the, like Europe and stuff? Like, did you like it? You were indifferent about it,
Um,
or
I think
don't
it's
care for?
nice to have a new scenery. I think it's
Hmm.
cool. I don't know. I prefer New York for sure. Like I like that aesthetic a lot.
Hmm.
But I think what they were going for is I think they wanted a fun light movie after Endgame. I think they needed
Yeah.
a breath of fresh air, and I think the school trip thing was very interesting. Not relatable whatsoever, because I will say just the idea of having I don't know how your school is with stuff like that, but the idea of going to Europe on a school trip is unheard of, at least around here. Like that would just like I've heard of some kids doing that and whatever. It's like we're going to Disney World. I'm like, my school would never. My school
No.
like
I agree, especially in high school specifically. Like high school, I get maybe college maybe, but like I've never been on any class trips like that go outside the country. But especially for high school, no, not at all. They would have put the money towards that. And also, I would expect them to probably ask you to pay for part of it. I would imagine.
mhm.
And it's kind of funny to think like if that is the case, I don't think May and Peter really have a lot of money. So,
Yeah, yeah, and like this really doesn't go into that, but I do one thing I liked it. Also, I think they could have done a little bit more with it though. Is I liked this was a movie kind of like shining upon the blip of it all and like seeing the consequences of that. Maybe I would have liked something a little bit more diving into that and the consequences of that. They don't really go into like because this class should be massive, right? Like they don't really go into like when all these kids come back, there are going to be double of each class. Like
oh yeah.
where's the other like side of the class that had grown up and is already in that grade, because there's going to be two classes. How do you deal with the double? But like they don't really address that side of it. It's like, okay, they're just back now, we deal with this. Like where's the other like 10th grade or like the 11th grade class that you're in, you know what I mean? Like where's the other half of it that grew up over these last 5 years or are now in that grade or whatever?
Yeah, it's a really brushed upon, like it's brushed off really quickly, weirdly, and I'm I agree with you. I was talking to my sister about it when we were watching it, when I was rewatching it with her, and I was like, wouldn't it be weird if you were like friends with somebody and then they're just the same, like they're the same age as you,
Mm.
and then you're already like 20, you know what I mean? Like you're older now and you're like, what the hell? You know, like, but you also move on, which sucks because then those people are like, what happened? I've been gone for 5 years and I have no idea what's going on. And he's like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I could tell you what's going on, but I moved on, you know, basically kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's very sad, but that's the thing that you wanted that, like you said, we need what do you call it? A debrief from
Yeah,
Endgame. So they
after
were like,
everything.
we have to make it goofy and fun.
This is one of the things where I wish some of those Marvel. I've talked about this so many times, but I wish some of those Marvel shows that all kind of ended around this time still got to go on and got to tell these stories because, like, stories during the blip and after the blip is so interesting. Shows like Agents of Shield and Daredevil and
Oh
like
yeah.
Jessica Jones. Like, I would have loved to see like a Jessica Jones season where like she's a private investigator, but half the world is missing. Like who's
Yeah.
missing? Like I thought the one line was kind of interesting, whereas like the one teacher said, like, yeah, like my girlfriend like pretended to be blipped and was like gone. Like as silly as that is, like that's such an interesting concept to
Oh
me. Like,
yeah.
yeah, the entire world structure would have changed and be affected by it. I would have loved a season of Agents of Shield that's dealing with all these people suddenly reappearing in
Oh
like
yeah.
in the world. Like that's so. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with all these like schools and all these jobs? People. I talked about this during Wonder Man just because it caused the like we had conversations about like prison. Was
Oh
like
yeah.
okay, like what happens if you blip and you're in prison? Do you have to stay in prison or have you served your sentence? That's
Oh
a
yeah.
fascinating discussion to have. Like I want a TV show that's set in these around those eras that we can talk about. Um,
Yeah, you're right.
the whole Flash thing I thought was cool too, where like Flash has a drink and being like, IDs are messed up now. Like we
Oh
have no
yeah.
idea how old every person is.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I was born, I'm old enough to drink, but you're not old enough to, like that's an
Yeah.
like
It's
conversation too.
Yeah, because
So
it's like legally, technically, you should be 5 years older, but technically you aren't because you were blipped at the place you were blipped, and you brought back from the blip exactly when you disappeared. And it is kind of funny. I would like it if they have a serious take on it going forward, or not going forward, but if they had ended up doing more projects where they discussed it, because right whenever those kids just appear in the gymnasium and everybody in the band is just getting just like piled on and stuff, it's funny, but then you're like, what about those kids? Like, what's going on? Like, where? Like, it's also you're reuniting with a lot of people after so long, and some people either move on, or some people are ecstatic. Or also remember, some people might have died during the 5 years,
yeah,
and you come back and you're like, what happened? Where did my parents go, or where did my friend go, or whatever? So that's also a big thing too.
I remember when this movie came out, and like all my friends were like, "No, that'd be stupid." But like, I wanted like just a drama show set in the MCU. No superheroes,
Mm-hmm.
no complex characters. It's just everyday people. That it's like a 5-year show, 6-year show that just it tackles. I mean, probably doesn't have to do that long, but it takes place during the blip, follows characters and their journey through that, and then it's a season like after the blip happens and how we deal with it, and just like this whole thing from the perspective of just the everyday person. And it's like it's such an interesting like real world. The entire world was shifted. What happens if you were on an airplane? You would
Oh my God.
right? Like
Yeah.
what if you were in like a submarine? What if you were in space? Like there's
Oh
so many
my
of these like
goodness.
what if
Yeah.
you're like in construction and like you were on like a big machine. That machine's gone when you come back, Like there would have been mass casualties
Oh
during
man.
this event. And so like I guess I have to like I don't know, like maybe there was something in the snap that was like, okay, they all come back safely or something. Like maybe
Something.
there has to have been, or there would have been like a mass thousands
That
upon thousands of people who died during this snap, whatever. But
Well, that's the thing they don't bring up, but I don't even think you're wrong though. The thing is that remember those people in the band gymnasium appeared in front of those people and like bumped into them.
yeah,
So why wouldn't you imagine that someone that disappeared on a plane wouldn't also end up in a plane? Or in the air, I mean,
yeah,
right? Like it doesn't make sense, but I mean, I guess it would be cool if, you know what? you remember at the time Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was coming out, there was supposed to be a damage control TV show at the time. It would have been, that was supposed to be a comedic show, but what if they repurposed it for more of like
Yeah.
a serious take on
Yeah.
that and actually just going over more of the blip stuff? That would have been cool, I
That would have
think.
been awesome.
Or like you said, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. could have covered it some.
I mean, like we saw like Wonder Man just came out, and I feel like that's kind of like the vibe I would have liked something like that in, where it's like,
Oh yeah.
it's just like it's not really it's set in the MCU, but it's not fully a superhero show. We get to like tackle these like very interesting concepts, or even like a special presentation. And it's too late now, obviously. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're way past it. They're not going back at this point.
Mhm.
But like a special presentation, or like an anthology series or something following some of these characters or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Um,
That would have been neat. I would have liked that. Oh well.
Anything else from Far From Home we haven't talked about yet that you think we should bring up?
We went over characters, we went over setting, we went over overall plot, villain, costumes, relationships. I think we've covered it all pretty much. I think.
Oh, freaking J.K. Simmons arrived in the MCU in this
Oh
movie.
shit! Yeah, if you want to talk about the
about.
very very end, yeah, J.K.
Yeah.
Simmons popping up as Alex Jones.
That was one of my favorite, I think, scenes of this. I think it's one of my favorite post-credit scenes, the Marvel, like that.
Oh yeah.
Because like as crazy as the ending is itself, I was like, hey, it's Spider-Man, like that's a great ending. But also at the time, I was like, fucking J.K. Simmons as Jameson is back in the MCU. Like this is such a crazy. Like I never would have thought that they would have done that, but they it pulls off and it works, and like no one's confused about it. Like no one's like, so wait, is it the same version? No, it's just he's playing that character again, and it's fine, and no one questions it. So I think
yeah,
cool.
He was just too good not to bring it back. You know, we can't leave without JK. I also do like the addition of the newer sort of version of him, because I guess, you know, unfortunately print's kind of like not as like, you know, print newspapers and stuff are kind of dying out a little bit. So it's kind of interesting that they decided to go with a modern take with him being like on a web show, basically like his YouTube channel, if you will.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of neat.
I think I almost kind of prefer that. Like I've heard like so much. Again, I played that like Insomniac game so much, and I swing so much on that game. Like I'm so used to like the like internet personality Jameson, like yelling at me through my earbuds or whatever. And I think it works more in like the modern day than like a newspaper or whatever. And I hope we get more of him in Brand New Day. Like I would like to see, like it's all been in a more like comedic avenue in both No Way Home and Far From Home, but like I'd like to maybe see him and Peter actually meet and actually like interact and have a dynamic. I think would be kind of cool.
I know he's struggling currently, and I don't know if Jamerson will treat his channel or his like news thing as like a actual like print thing, but if he does need pictures or needs new like what do you call it, stories, that could be Peter's like potential at like working for him in that way. But it's okay if they don't want to do that. They could just have him work at like a sandwich shop or something. I guess it's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
no, that'll be fun. That'll be fun for sure. But yeah, no, like that. I think that's kind of bring us towards the end here. How do you feel as a whole? How do you feel about how they wrapped up the Infinity Saga? Do you think they wrapped it up pretty well? Were there things you would have liked to have seen that they didn't do, or do you think these were kind of pretty good ending points for the Infinity Saga?
I think it capped off a lot of good arcs from everyone involved. I think Endgame did it well. I think it really did give us a close to those characters. I think like we were talking about Iron Man, Tony, Cap, and it also like it also teased futures for other characters, right? Like Sam and like, the Guardians kind of going with Thor and stuff. Like it all did things right that I think they did narratively well. I was pleased with the way we ended with some of the characters, and we got like sort of a continuation considering like later on with other projects and those characters and stuff. Technically you were right. Far From Home is technically the end of Infinity Saga. But it kind of feels like, sort of like the newer.
I still pitch that Far From Home should have been the opening of the Multiverse Saga, especially since you literally had, like, even though it wasn't real, you have a villain that's like, I'm from the multiverse, I'm doing it. And I think that would have been a good, like, you're doing the future of characters. You're setting up the whole like Nick Fury and space stuff. You're setting up Peter's future in the MCU. You're setting up whatever No Way Home is going to be at the end of the movie. Like it's just so many like new beginnings and new starts. Or like doing like the only justification I can say is like they do explain all the blip stuff and like the consequences of the blip, and like that's the only kind of thing. But I think that works so much better than like Black Widow. Actually switch them. Ideally, have Black Widow be the final movie in the Infinity Saga, and have this be the start. Like in an ideal world or whatever. But
yeah, because that would be like a sort of flashback for a character that just kind of died in the last movie. So that would make sense. Yeah, I agree with you. It does feel odd, but I mean, even for, like you said, it explains the blip, but it also explains sort of like a character that we saw at the end of Endgame that I guess we really didn't see. Like what's the aftermath with his life? What's the aftermath with Tony being gone? So that's why they also probably did this as an Infinity Saga ending. But yeah, like you said, like I agree. I think Endgame was a good close to all those characters, and I think Far From Home was a nice breather, but also kind of a taste for the future, let's say. You know what I mean?
I agree. But yeah, we're going to be jumping into our first movie here, which is Spider-Man No Way Home. Wrapping up the first Tom Holland Spider-Man John Watts trilogy. We've obviously previously done Homecoming, which is my favorite of these movies, and then Far From Home we did with our buddy Ian a couple months ago. No Way Home wrapped it up. I mean, this is such a fever dream of a movie for me. The like lead up to No Way Home.
Yeah.
Like I think there needs to be a documentary about the lead up to No Way Home. And I think next to Infinity War and Endgame, this is the biggest like lead up to a Marvel movie that I have in my mind. Like I remember every step of the way of just like because I think the first signs of it was when Jamie Foxx was confirmed to be in this movie. Like I think he was before any of the other actors were confirmed or anything, and it was like
I don't remember if it was Jamie Foxx first or if it was Alfred Molina first.
I think it was Jamie Foxx because I
One of
remember
those two.
like that like disgusting film came out, and I was like, what the hell? Why the fuck is Jamie Foxx in the movie? Like, why are they bringing Electro back? We didn't know it was a multiverse movie yet. We didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
And then, slowly, I think, like, Alfred was confirmed and like some of these other... I don't remember when... Was William confirmed as well before the trailers? Or no?
No, not before the trailers.
That was a trailer thing. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then, obviously there were... rumors upon rumors upon rumors upon rumors. I remember very like all the like leaks that we were looking at. There was a certain YouTuber that has a very viral moment considering the movie, which is in my it's in my vocabulary all the time, which I think is very funny. And just like, but like I think what was so special about this is we didn't technically know. Like we thought we knew.
No, I mean there were a bunch of low res images, ones with a Campia watermark on them, but nothing officially that we had seen. It was the worst kept secret in Hollywood. Like we all kind of knew, but they let that be a surprise in the theater, which I was grateful for. But we'll get there.
We'll get there. But yeah, just kind of like general opinion as we kind of get into it. Because again, I have no idea where we're even going to start with a movie like No Way Home. But what's your kind of just like general opinions on No Way Home?
So, again, this is a movie that I really, really gel with and means a lot to me for a lot of personal reasons. I mean, Spider-Man's my favorite superhero. So getting, like going into it with what we knew concrete was that we were getting these multiversal villains in the movie. So that concept alone interested me, but then it was a lot of returning villains, some of which we knew, others of which were speculated at the time, but not officially confirmed until we got into the movie. And, not only is Spider-Man my favorite superhero, but as far as Marvel characters, Strange has always been one of my favorites too, which he does have a role in this movie, which I think actually, people would often criticize his decisions in this movie, but I think, and we'll get to it, but I think the actions of his next movie make this one better in a way.
Mhm.
And I like the interactions between them. It was a little, what's the word? I think the trailers might have misled people a little bit into thinking that Strange is going to do this dangerous reality spell behind Wong's back. But then when you see it in the actual film, Wong just says, "Hey, listen, you're going to do whatever you're going to do. Just leave me out of it." And then he leaves.
Yeah.
And they're setting up, or they're reestablishing what the status is of the world. More after the snap, which this is one of the first movies that really dove into the established side that we knew, because obviously Black Widow took place before that. Shang-Chi and Eternals were diving into new worlds entirely. So this is where you got to return to that established place that we knew. Because Far From Home was out of New York very quickly in the movie, and frankly, they paid it off with they just kind of played it for a not too funny joke, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I will say, like, the MCU does a lot more with the snap idea than I remembered them doing it. Like, obviously, Black Widow doesn't do it too much, but I think this movie does it quite a bit. Hawkeye does it with the whole Yelena thing.
Yeah.
WandaVision does it with Monica and seeing like her come back from the snap.
Yeah. Well, there is that. Is it in Hawkeye where you see Yelena like fade and then come back? Is that in Hawkeye? Okay.
Yes, which is probably my favorite scene in Hawkeye because it's such a chilling sequence of her just going away and having to come back. Even like the start of Hawkeye when like he like goes to the bathroom and he sees that like Thanos was right on the thing, and obviously like Falcon and the Winter Soldier is kind of all about the like consequences of the snap, and like we can say what you want about Phase 4, but like the bones were there. These like early Phase 4 projects, they had the bones of building on what Endgame kind of set up, and like what like dealing with the consequences of these actions. And I definitely agree. Like this movie definitely, at least in the first act, deals with the consequences of Endgame and kind of where we leave Peter, I'd say.
Yeah, and it shows that Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme now, with Strange being gone for that 5-year period. And there are some funny little bits of banter in there. Even the little bits between Peter and Strange where they're like, we saved half the universe together. You don't have to call me sir. So, all right, well, Steven, he's like, that's weird, but I'll allow it. It's little bits like that I think are really true to those characters. And then you learn more about what's underneath the Sanctum Sanctorum, which wasn't seen in the original movie. That little Undercroft area where those ruins where Strange goes to perform the spell, that wasn't there in the first movie. So you're getting to explore a little bit more of his world before being thrown headfirst into his sequel movie. And I like that aspect of it, which leads to I admit leads to the moment that I was heavily criticizing before the movie came out. Because as awesome as the movie looked, I'm sitting here thinking, are we really about to get all this awesome stuff because a high schooler wouldn't shut up and a grown man went along with the whims of this high schooler? That was my thought going into it. It's like the fact that these two people couldn't sit like adults and talk about this, about any of the ramifications of this before they attempted to brainwash everybody in reality.
Sure.
That was my thought going into it. And I'm like, you know what? Because of how much Spider-Man in particular has gone through, I think he would probably overlook the stakes of that. It would just feel like another cosmic act to him. And Strange, as we know, is the type of individual that's very arrogant, believes he can control any sort of danger, believes he knows best. And when you put those two mindsets together, it can be kind of a dangerous combination.
I really like the line from Strange where he talks about like, despite everything, I forget your still a kid.
Yeah.
And I think like he thinks of him as if he would think of, you know, Tony or Thor or like any of these other Avengers. But yeah, he still is a child. And I think he very sympathizes with. Actually, I think leads very well with you know Doctor Strange too, which we'll talk about later. But about like ruining the opportunities you had because you made the wrong call. Like I think he very much sympathizes with that idea, and probably is like, no, I want him to have the future that I can't because I screwed my opportunities up.
Yeah.
Like I think that leads very well with each other. But I also love as soon as he was like, wait, you didn't even do any research before you came here? No, go talk to them first, you dummy. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Which maybe you could call Peter dumb for that, but I think he's also just, like you said, kind of been through a lot these last couple of years, and he's just trying to deal with being outed and coming back after 5 years and his mentor dying in his arm, you know, all this stuff. So I can definitely give him a sort of pass, I'd say.
Well, even Strange too, before all that happens, and Wong's cautioning him on the danger. Strange is like, come on, like, hasn't he been through enough?
Yeah.
So like there's moments there that I get. Like little moments around the school too, just as like a little thing here while we're still in the first act, as that little bit of world building and nice touches. You know, they give this version of Betty one of the classic lines that comes from a different character. They give her the tiger line, which I'm like, all right. But you know, they do, by making her like a high school reporter, they show you, hey, she's somewhat connected to, you know, news and media. You might see her at the Daily Bugle later, which you do get, beyond just a cameo, you do get J.K. Simmons back in this movie, which I thought was really awesome. It's one of those characters that just, again, like I'm not usually the type of person to say, yeah, I can't see anyone else doing this. That's one of the characters that it's going to be very hard to find someone else to do that.
Yeah, there's going to be no one that can get on his level in terms of that character, and so yeah, it is kind of just his at this point. And I do hope he's in Brand New Day. I know he hasn't been confirmed to be in Brand New Day yet, but I hope it's one of the things they're trying to keep a little bit more hush hush. So when he appears, it's like, oh my gosh, it's him.
Yeah.
I will say I really love this movie, and we will get to the stuff I love as soon as we get into the second act and third act especially. The first act isn't my favorite in this movie, I'd say. Not that I think it's horrible, but I think especially the first like 10 to 20 minutes, I think it kind of does a lot of the things that I don't love out of MCU Spider-Man. Not to say there's not good in there, but like when he like goes into like the like apartment and they do the like half naked joke again after the last movie with him and MJ, and they do the whole like happy Aunt May banter stuff, and like that. Some of that dialogue doesn't really work well for me. It feels a little bit too much of the like the MCU humor that I don't always adore. And so I definitely think the movie, like, this is a weird movie because I do think this movie is definitely riddled with like MCU behind the scenes, not meddling, but like this felt like a project that they were very close on, very much like it has to be done this way, this way, this way. So you see the bones of it, and I think you see the positives and negatives of those effects, in the good ways and the bad ways. But I think they find their footing very quickly. Like even if it starts off a little, I don't know, loose-sided, I think they find their way.
Yeah. I got to be honest. I didn't mind too much of the humor just because I think it was done better in this movie, and especially comparison to the last one. Like you said, that whole like half naked joke from the last movie, I feel like it plays a lot better here just because like it's two teenagers, just completely wrong place, wrong time, wrong context, wrong idea. So like all the ingredients for like, oh, that's a little awkward, which that hijinks of circumstances plays a lot better for me than a grown woman telling teenage Peter Parker, hey, take off your clothes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Neither of those scenes work for me, and I don't know. I don't think it's bad. I'm not like guy yells at clouds. Like I don't think the opening is like bad or anything. It's just some of it feels a little, I don't know, tongue in cheek for me. I also don't love the like Scooby-Doo this shit line from Strange. Like that's another one that feels a little off-sided to me. But I'll say the first act has one of my favorite moments in the movie, which is the Charlie Cox cameo, which was a very big deal at
Yeah, which that was I mean, definitely not the biggest reveal in the movie, but people who were kind of in the know, they were speculating that he would be there, and I like how they reveal it with the cane, or before you actually see him. Somebody in my theater, actually, when that happened, I have a very vivid memory from my theater experience of this movie. Someone behind me actually said, "That guy was in Stardust," which is a movie he was in like 20 years ago, which is probably his most recognizable role outside of Marvel. But yeah, it was just a funny interaction, and like it wasn't, like there were a few gasps in there because I saw this movie multiple times around then, and I don't know, like again, I thought it was really cool seeing him, and then he's essentially says that, hey, these charges won't stick, your trouble's fine, and that felt not like a hand wavy method of getting rid of the trouble, but a natural method of doing it. And then you get that little sneak peek of what he's capable of when he catches that brick going through the window.
I'm a really good lawyer. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that's good stuff there. And a little bit of a meta scene, too, because you have Jon Favreau in there talking to Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
Jon Favreau was happy in the Ben Affleck movie, so a little bit of a meta thing there. Yeah, Foggy. I don't know why I said happy. But yeah, no, he was Foggy in the 2003 Daredevil movie, so a little bit of a meta full circle moment there.
Yeah, my theater both times had no idea who this was. I had to hold myself back from doing the clap cheer thing that I was used to at the time for these Marvel movies, because I was like, oh, everyone's obviously going to be cheering too, and dead silent. And like my friend leaned over and was like, who's that? I was like, dude, it's fucking Daredevil. It's Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But
thankfully, my brother caught on to that because he recognized the glasses and the stick, because like I've been catching him up on Marvel over the years, and whenever I had my reaction, like you, I had to be kind of reeled in about it. I was like, ooh, and he was like, is that Daredevil? I'm like, yep.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. I talked about this last week when I filmed my Hawkeye and Eternals episode, where like this was the start of the Daredevil renaissance in the MCU, and from this point onward, he's arguably the most consistent character post the Endgame saga. Like you have Kingpin in Hawkeye, and then he appears here. He appears again in She-Hulk. He appears again in Echo. Then 2 and now 3 seasons of Daredevil. Born Again. They both are going to appear in Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man here later this year. Like, they're everywhere. Like, they are just probably the most consistent thing in the MCU currently, which, depending on if you like him or not, is either a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, I just don't want it to turn into those too much of a good thing situations.
Yeah. Agreed. He's even rumored for like Brand New Day here shortly. So it's like, yeah, it's definitely a lot of them. But makes me happy because I do like Matt Murdock.
Oh yeah.
The first villain to appear is Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, which I like and dislike the scene. I still kind of wish he wasn't in the Iron Spider suit for the scene. I understand why he is, because they obviously want the octopus versus the multiple legs dynamic. Like, that's a fun dynamic.
Yeah, I get that.
But I'm also like, but it kind of ruins the arc you set in Far From Home, that he's not, like, the whole point of both Homecoming and Far From Home is the story about, I am not Iron Man. I'm my own hero. I'm my own individual thing. And then he's still wearing the Iron Spider suit. It's like, you're kind of deflecting the arc that you set him on in the last one. And so yeah.
I think it's kind of just, I don't necessarily think in those moments he's falling, like he's trying to be Iron Man again. He's just it's one of those rock and a hard place things to where, like, hey, you know what, like, this is the tool. He's not in the Homecoming mindset of, oh, I'm nothing without the suit. He's just utilizing it, because at this point, the Far From Home red and black suit has got that green, like, smeared paint all over it. So can't really use that one.
I get it.
So this is the only one that's able to use at the moment.
I get it. It's just I don't think it helps the argument for people. I think is the big thing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, sure.
like he's just Iron Man Jr. and stuff like that. And like I think like no, he's not. He's his own hero. It's like yeah, but he's wearing the suit. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I know he's wearing the suit. Like I get it.
I've never liked that costume, admittedly. So whenever it was gone after that, I wasn't too upset.
No, yeah, I think it's like I think it was fun in Infinity War. Like I love it in that moment when he puts it on him and there's that big reveal, and I like that moment, and I even like it in Far From Home because that's the arc. The whole arc is him being like, I have to be this person because that's what everyone is expecting me to be, and like the whole journey is like, oh no, I have to be my own individual person. I need to stand up, whatever. But I think that fight scene is very fun. I like that he like programs the Bluetooth whatever to control Doc. Like that's very fun. That's very
because you're talking about technology from like 2004 that's intermixing with technology from 2024.
Yes,
so
technology.
It's an interesting. But there are so many little details from this sequence that I love. I'll try not to spend too much time on it because we have a lot to go through, but. You have that little bit where he breaks into the suit and he realizes that it's nanotech because Otto Octavius is a brilliant scientist too.
Yeah.
He knows that it's tech. And that was even speculated because you saw parts in the trailer where his arms had a red glow to them. They're like, is he going to get some Stark tech? And technically in that moment he did. But also just that little moment where you see the arms onto the bridge and they enter there and the theme from Spider-Man 2 starts playing and again, simple line of dialogue. Hello, Peter. That was one of the first many big cheers throughout my theater. And the people to the right of me were like, what's happening? Why is everybody so excited to see him? Because they were a little bit younger and just didn't really know. And whereas you got me and the other people to my left just clapping a bunch. But I mean, I also really love Dr. Octopus as a villain. And honestly, I don't think that in a handful of Spider-Man action scenes prior to then, even in ones like Vulture, they kind of did it with Vulture, but like they showed how dangerous the Raimi Spider-Man villains can be in this movie, and how much of a threat they are to Tom Holland. Because like he was like, if not for that technological advantage, Tom Holland might not have walked out of that. And even when you see that when he fights certain later villains in the movie, he's getting his ass kicked. So they definitely show you how much of a threat those villains are, and I like that because I mean you haven't really seen Holland throughout this movie. You haven't seen him have that level of fear in him except for when he was getting snapped away. So I think they did a good job of creating dread, and they even throw back in some of Alfred Molina's classic lines, the power of the sun in the palm of my hand, things like that. And like you're gonna have your people that know the lines and they're cheering and oohing and awing at that, but I also don't think it ruins the scene for people who aren't as in the know.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because this is definitely the most in terms of power scaling, like the hardest mission I think he has up until this point. Like if you look at his past two movies, you have Vulture, which is, give him like a run for his money, but I wouldn't say he's like a powerful villain. It's more about the like relationship that makes the thing hard. And Mysterio was obviously the thing, but it was more so illusions. And every other
with Vulture, he was also just scared because he was on his own for the first time.
Yeah. And then like every other, like, obviously he fights Thanos and stuff, but he has an entire team with him. Like he's not soloing fighting Thanos. So for a lot of this movie, it is him just doing it on his own. And, he does a great job. Like the whole scene when he's like fighting Strange towards the second act of the movie, which I think is where the movie really starts to pick up and really starts to get really good. Like that's a fantastic scene as well because you get to see
I like
this movie as a whole does a really good job at showing the smarts of Peter Parker. Like he's a very smart character, and be like, oh, this is this is just algebra. I can do algebra, and he does his little thing, and he gets trapped. Like that was a fantastic sequence. I love.
Oh
that
yeah,
entire bit.
no, I like that a lot, and it was more of those Doctor Strange insane kaleidoscope visuals that you saw a lot of in the first movie brought back here for that sequence. And also, they put Spider-Man on a train for a big action sequence again, which Spider-Man 2 made popular.
Yes.
But we get after that whole Doc Ock sequence, you get your introduction to the main villain, which it was dead silence in the theater as they started looking toward the sky, and you just hear you don't hear any sound. All of a sudden, you hear the metal clanging on the ground and dropping. Some of us knew right then and there, and then we saw that bomb. You immediately knew. You hear the laugh, and then you see him enter the full frame. The fucking Green Goblin. And for this one scene, you see him wear the entire full getup, which people criticize that thing right there in particular. Do I have a fondness for it? Yes. Did I grow up, watching that? Also, yes. So maybe that's part of the reason why I like it a lot. I even have a Funko of him from this movie up there. So yeah, I was glad that we at least saw that look for one scene, but kind of liked that later in the movie they go the more hooded look, which
I like that look a lot.
Yeah. I like that look, but I was glad we saw this for at least one more scene. But one of the more tense scenes in the movie is when that helmet is just kind of mounted on the dumpster in the alleyway and it's taunting him. You coward, we have a whole world to conquer. And you can see Norman, he's dealing with that split personality where, like he's in a new world. He doesn't know what's going on. Like he went to his house, his son's not there, his company's gone, no one knows him. And like, Goblin had taken over for a moment there, but you got the weak, timid Norman there too, which I think just shows how much of a talent Willem Dafoe is, how he can go back and forth like that.
No, this is my favorite Green Goblin outing I've personally seen. Like, obviously, he's obviously great in the first Spider-Man movie. I think he does a great job. But I don't know, like, I think he's better as a Norman than he is the Goblin. I think the Goblin's great in that movie, but we don't get a lot of Goblin doing goblin-y things until the very end, I feel like. And this movie, I think, takes what he's so good at in that first Spider-Man movie and allows him to just play in the sandbox that is Spider-Man and that is Green Goblin. And we'll be jumping around throughout this thing. It's fine. But like the entire elevator sequence might be in my top 5 moments in the MCU. The slow, you get like, this is probably my favorite like Spider-Sense sequence maybe of all time, when he just kind of feels, he's like, he knows someone in the room is about to do something, but he doesn't know who. And he's just like looking, trying to figure out which one of them is about to do their heel turn. And then
he closes his eyes and just lets his spider sense take over.
Some neat trick, that spider sense of your
Yeah.
he does it so good.
Yeah. And just is there a little bit of camp in the delivery? Sure, but it's like the perfect amount. And you even get like one thing that was really refreshing for me with this, in those older movies, you never got to see villains like Green Goblin and Doc Ock interact with each other. So, learning how they feel about each other, and honestly, that scene where most of the villains were interacting after they're captured, like them kind of learning about each other's universes. And then Doc Ock's like, you're a walking corpse, you died. And Norman's like, what? That's impossible. And then Sandman is like, well, actually, you both died. And Doc Ock's like, wait, that doesn't make sense. What do you mean? It's like, bits like that sort of banter and stuff I find really enjoyable. And now, do some of the villains get a little underserved in the movie? Yes. I think particularly Sandman and Lizard are a little underserved because for both of them, their actors weren't able to physically be there. So they had to do Sandman purely through visual effects, Lizard, same thing. And the way that you're able to know that they weren't there at all, and this is something that I noticed in the theater, but the one scene where you do see both of them as a human is pulled footage from those older movies. Because like Thomas Hayden Church doesn't look any older in that shot than he did back in 2007. Same thing with Risa Fons as the Lizard. So, could the movie have used, like maybe 4 or 5 more months in the oven? Sure, but I'm still so happy with what we got. But
yeah, I think I don't like. I think for Lizard especially, it works for me because Lizard is never like the most like dialogue heavy, monologuing kind of like he kind of works as like he's just kind of like the mindless creature in this movie who's just kind of doing stuff. He's just kind of crawling around. I think it works for him. I would have liked more of Sandman, sure, but then I think they really focused in on Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Electro as kind of your main 3, and I think that really works for me. I think those 3 working in tandem really worked for me. And again, like I think Green Goblin is your main villain. Honestly, I don't think the MCU is ever going to do their own Green Goblin. I think this might be it for me because I think that's probably how it should be because there's no one's going to beat William Dafoe's Green Goblin and what he did in this movie, and I think I'm really satisfied. Like if we never get another Green Goblin in Tom Holland's little thing, I'm personally okay with that, unless they do something very. I guess they could do the Harry thing if they really, really want to make it different, to make it feel unique.
Even then, I don't think you would ever be able to get as personal a connection again.
No, sure. Although I do like the idea of a Harry possibly showing up somehow with the knowledge that Tom Spider-Man has. Like if even if it is the main Green Goblin and it's him for years being like, when are you going to turn? Like when is it going to happen? And always watching and waiting for that moment to occur. I think I like that idea. I think that's a cool concept.
Like you're just constantly paranoid on like when it's gonna flip.
Mm-hmm. I think there's potential there. But yeah, I think the villains are really good. Obviously, the whole apartment scene is my favorite scene in the movie. The fight scene when he's like, they're like going down like the apartment building floor by floor. Like powerful enough to take anything you want, but
strong enough to have it all, too weak to take it.
Too weak to and his performance with it's great. Yeah. It feels physical, and you can see William's main thing was like, if I come back, I want to be able to do my own stunts, and I want to do a lot of this myself. And you feel that it feels real. He was doing.
It was all him. Yeah, he was doing his own stunts at 66 years old, and just the scene where Holland jumps on him and tries to start punching him, he just stands there laughing it off. It's that kind of performance that I just can't get enough of. And we're all, and I don't mean to sound like a purist or an oldie or whatever, but just during that bit, whenever he's laughing off those punches, those of us that had seen that type of performance from him over and over throughout those movies and other ones over the last 20 years, we're just kind of laughing along with it, but also in the sense of like going through my mind, like, was I laughing a little bit at that scene? Yeah, but in my mind, I'm going, yeah, you're not going to win this. Like, that was my reaction. Yeah. I was like, yeah, you're just not winning this. Nothing's working for you.
I do understand. I don't want it, obviously, because it's too typecast, but I do understand why people want him as the Joker. I think in that scene, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of just Joker. Like that is a good audition for that character. Obviously, I don't. Too typecast. It's literally just Green Goblin. I don't want that, but I see why people do. Yeah,
it's been funny to see him in interviews, and he's like, "Yeah, people come up to me and they go, you know what role you'd be perfect for? The Joker." And he goes, "Oh, it's always nice to hear you have the vibe of a sociopath." But no, I think Willem is just awesome in these movies. What we were bringing up a little bit before, I like how whenever the Norman side is at the forefront and not Goblin, I like how he's kind of admiring Peter, like admiring him for his technical know-how, saying, hey, if you feel like hopping to another universe, I might have a job for you. Just like that little stuff like that. You can tell Norman is there and the Goblin part is not there yet, but you can kind of tell when the switch happens when Otto and Norman are talking, and Otto says, hey, like whenever they get this cure, like there won't be any more darker half. And you don't see Norman's face, but you just hear in the voice, he's like, no more darker half.
Yeah.
You just hear it like right there. But also speaking of cure, my God, one of my favorite moments in this movie is when they cure Octavius.
That's fantastic.
I loved that moment because it's been the arms communicating with him the entire time, and when he finally gets that cure and it's just dead air, and he goes, "It's so quiet." I'm like, man, having that payoff for like 14 years was just so good.
I think he's arguably one of the best characters in this movie. Like, just
Yeah.
him as both Octopus and Otto, I think is fantastic. And they're two very separate characters, and they're it's very nice.
And we see later, we'll get into it later, but he does join the side of good ultimately. Yeah, which I loved.
For sure. Obviously, after the huge apartment sequence, they're on the ground floor. And there was a lot of theories going in who would die. I think at the time I said Happy. Like I thought Happy was gonna die.
I kind of predicted that the person that would die in this movie is ultimately who did.
I think once you're kind of getting into it and you're seeing it, it's like it becomes very clear. It's like, oh, okay. And it is a little sad because like I didn't think this version of Aunt May was at the time was easily my least favorite going into the movie. Like I thought she was pretty good in Homecoming. She was barely in Far From Home. And so I think it's a really interesting gamble to be like, she's going to be the emotional core of this one. And she is such a different character from the start of this movie to where we ultimately take her. And so when the sequence happens, it does work for me. Like it shouldn't work because they hadn't built up to it, but they somehow do it in a way where that emotional moment really hits. And I think this is one of Tom's best performances as Spider-Man in this.
I think so too.
And when it happens, it makes so much sense. But like they give her the with great power speech, which I think works in the MCU. I know again, I know a lot of purists didn't like it at the time. They wanted to be Uncle Ben, but I like it. I think it works for me.
I mean, so I think it works for a few reasons. One, they still haven't done anything to allude to Tom Holland's Uncle Ben in the MCU, minus one line in Civil War where he's saying, when you can do the things that I can, but you don't, and then the bad things happen, they happen because of you. It's always been assumed that he's talking about Uncle Ben there. But they don't really highlight the impact that he had on him in these movies, which maybe suggests that there wasn't as big of one as there typically is. But also earlier... Sorry.
They also do it in Zombies, which is a tough one because it's not canon, but everything up until that point kind of was canon to the MCU. So you got to take that with a grain of salt, but they do mention Uncle Ben in there as well. So, take that as you will.
But they even have the moment with May earlier in the movie when Norman first enters the Feast Center, which, by the way, nice reference to the games with that.
Yes.
And Spider-Man's there, and she's like, "Hey, well, these guys need your help. Like, you can't just leave them to die, leave them stranded in their own universe. They need your help. We should help them." And they do kind of set it up in that way, leading up to it. But when that moment does happen and she has that whole speech, and Holland's breaking down, one little detail in that scene I really loved was when Happy arrives and he sees what's happening, and he sees that the place is like surrounded by soldiers, and he sees what's happened to May. His first instinct is yelling for Peter to get out of there and trying to protect him. Because while he definitely had affection for May, he was trying to keep Peter safe. And again, that was just a moment that I really loved. And I think that's the last time you see Happy before things happen. So, just a little bit that I really, really enjoyed there.
No. Yeah, that entire sequence is fantastic. What might be one of my favorite shots in the MCU is when you jump cut to the Jameson dialogue on the TV. Peter's in the rain mask off, rain is pouring down on him as the light from the TV is shining in his face, and he's just letting that moment sit with him as Jameson is like lecturing him on how he's failed as a hero. Like it's so good. Like I get instant goosebumps in that sequence where it's like, holy shit, like this is fully just Spider-Man. Like this is like he's fully encapsulated the character in this shot.
Also made for one of the best posters.
Yes, fantastic poster. Fantastic. It's at this point in the movie we start transitioning into what people think of the movie, which is the giant, crossover between all three Spider-Man franchises. One of the things I'm not a huge fan of in this movie, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts, I'm not a fan of the Ned Doctor Strange plotline in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. If anybody's wondering if there's any sort of comic roots in that, I'll go ahead and tell you right now, no, there's not.
It's just such a left field thing for me. And I get it. Like, I think it's one of those things that's it's mostly done for laughs and stuff like that. It's just it's a little bit too much for me. Like, I think they need the plot to happen, right? Like, they need a way to bring these characters over in, and it's like, okay, we'll have Ned somehow gets these abilities and is like, bring Peter Parker here, like that stuff. I love that sequence when Andrew comes in, but I have to get through the moments when he's doing that first because to me it's a little cringe. It's a little like, oh, all right, whatever, it's done, and now he's here and it's great.
I mean, I do like the build up to that sequence too, where like MJ is debating on like pressing the button and letting everything go, and like Ned's like, hey, not yet, we can't because they don't know like where Peter is right now. Like they tried to set up the Ned thing with a line earlier in the movie where he's like, yeah, my grandma says like we have magic roots, and Strange is like, well, maybe you should go see a doctor or something. I'm like, yeah, like I could take it or leave it. I mean, it didn't bother me that much, but I get why some people are like, okay, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's something that I find just easier to overlook. But you do get that moment where you have a Spider-Man and clearly tell from the costume it's not Tom Holland, and that liar Andrew Garfield pulls the mask off.
Mr. Werewolf himself.
This explicitly saying over and over in tons of interviews, I'm not in the movie. I'm not in the movie. I'm not in the movie. It's Photoshop. And he comes into there and he still doesn't miss a beat when it comes to this character.
He's my personal favorite live action Peter. I love his energy, and I think this is easily his best movie as Peter Parker for me. With ease. He fully just embraces that character. He does such a good job, and I think it took this movie for people to actually like him, because I've always enjoyed those amazing movies for what they were, even if I think they're flawed. But he's never the issues with those movies. I've always thought he played a fantastic Peter Parker. And the way that he's able to bounce off both Peter 1, 2, and 3, whatever they are, whatever the order is of Peters, is fantastic. His dialogue's fantastic.
Yeah.
Jump to the end, like his moment when he saves MJ is such a gorgeous moment where it's like, are you okay? Yeah, are you like, are you doing all right?
Which you can tell he is like going through the motions clearly, and even just like the little bits that show you what his comedic chops are as Spider-Man. Like whenever MJ throws the damn roll at him, he's like, "Yeah, my tingle thing works fine, just not for bread." It's like it's like little bits like that. It's like, is some of Spider-Man's humor stupid? Yes, but that's kind of the point.
No, he does a great job with the material given.
And there was that little line where Ned's like, I opened the wrong portal to the wrong Peter Parker, and MJ's like, well, I guess we just got to keep trying till we find the real one. And then you hear Andrew go, ouch. Just a little bit was really nice. But then the moment they got arguably the biggest cheer in my theater,
You get it. Yeah.
a lot of that was probably coming from me. Yeah, the original of the 3 Spider-Men come in. The guy right here on this shirt.
No suit, just comes in like a young, fun youth pastor, which
I
think worked.
Yeah, and they played a version of the score from those movies too, which I loved, and just how simple it was with the dialogue where he goes, "Oh, I hope it's fine. I just came through this. Oh, it's shut now." It's like that's the timid nature of his Peter that I've always really, really liked. And pretty quickly, you find that he's there because he already knows Tom Holland's there, and he's trying to find him. He's trying to help him because he thinks that he says, "I've been trying to find your friend since I got here." Then Andrew enters and says, and then Toby's like, "Well, that's not your friend." And they have that like little confrontation where they like shoot the webs at each other, which I think is really cool. Yeah. And they save a moment later, but because they go right at the web shooter, Andrew's like, "Oh, I respect that move," not recognizing that Toby's not actually wearing a web shooter at all, letting that moment pay off for the laugh later. But no, I mean, it was surreal for me seeing him on that screen again because I hadn't in 14 years before then.
I get it.
And I was having to explain to some younger people afterward that were like, "Why was everybody freaking out so much?" I said, "Hey, so like pick your favorite movie character," and then I said, "Imagine you didn't see them in that part for 14 years, and then they were back, and you got a little bit more time with them." And I mean, it was more than I ever thought we would get at that point because I'd already kind of accepted that reality. It's like, hey, we're not getting that 4th movie. We're not gonna get any more thing there. So this was just kind of a massive treat for, I think, all Spider-Man fans that I wish would have stopped the bickering between them, and for a time it did, but unfortunately, no.
Yeah, and I think, and I've talked about this previously, but I think I wish this movie stopped the, there can only be one version of these characters argument, because what makes this movie special is the so much of the discourse is well, I like this thing from this character, and this one doesn't do this thing, and this one doesn't do this thing, but the movie works so specially because they are all so different. Each
and
Spider-Man
they complement
has a
each other.
Tone. Yeah, and the way that they can all work as 3 separate characters alongside each other, and in unison because they are so different, is so cool. And so it's so weird to me when it's like, all right, we're getting a new Batman, and all these people are like, no, that's not my Batman. It's like, yeah, that's fine. We're getting something. It's so exhausting. I think I think this movie's strength is these 3 actors playing off each other. To jump a little further, the scene when they're on the bridge and they're getting ready for the big battle, there was that 8-minute scene where it's just characters just talking. They're just doing stuff. They're like, I fought this villain, you fought this villain, and can you crack my back because it hurts? It's I would have watched the whole movie of just that.
Yeah, and not only are those character moments with them, whether you're talking about on the construction side or in the school, or on top of the school, rather, no matter where your setting is, not only is each scene filled with a lot of references for those other 2 Spider-Men, but you get to see how their Peters are against each other. You get to see, how kind of goofy but kind-hearted Toby's was, how kind of cool but awkward the Andrew Garfield version was, and how they play off of each other. Also love one of my favorite shots in the movie that leads into one of my favorite scenes is when you see Tom on the roof of the high school, and he's just broken because of what's happened to him. He's not able to say a word at all, and you have Ned and MJ there hugging him, and then you go up to that shot where you see Toby and Andrew there in the moonlight. It's fucking beautiful, and they get that whole sequence where they're like, "Hey, I'm sorry about May," and they try to say that I've got some experience of what you're going through, and someone who's just gone through a big loss like that in the moment does not want anyone to try to level with them. It's the worst thing you can do. But in reality, they do know, but they're like, okay, we won't. Like, it's like they know what that's like, and they won't try to level it with him. And like, unless you have a really, really good frame of reference for what an individual's going through, um, it's that's just not the thing to do, because that's the human nature, is to compare experiences.
Yeah.
But Toby did say, hey, like my Uncle Ben was killed. It was my fault. I let this person get away. Andrew says, I lost Gwen. She was
Yeah.
my MJ. I'm not going to be able to forgive myself for saving her. And you got a little bit of context into what happened to his Spider-Man after that. One of my favorite lines, where he's like, at a certain point, I stopped pulling my punches. I got bitter. I got rageful. Kind of makes you wish that you saw a movie with that fallout.
Yeah.
Which I think that would have been the perfect time to introduce a symbiote into his world, but different story.
Yeah. I'm curious, because I'm not going to say it's completely out of the question to someday see something from Andrew or even Toby again. I think it's possible. I think, these dudes love money. So I see a world where that happens. But I would be fascinated, especially I think Andrew, has the most to tell, because of like, okay, do we jump right where it ends? Or do we do post No Way Home, or potentially post Secret Wars, right?
Yeah. And like on the Toby side of things, there's been that desire of, hey, let's, since he's the oldest Spider-Man out of the bunch, let's show him and Mary Jane acting as parents to like a Mayday. And I would love to see that. If you were to do like a Logan style movie for his Peter or something, I'd be here all day for that.
Yeah, agreed. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and I love too that little moment where you can see Tom Holland, where it's kind of these two moments that mix together, where he's talking about what May's last words to him were, and he goes like, with great power, and they all complete it comes great responsibility, because they all know. It's like little moments like that. And little detail I loved is when he's listing off the villains to cure, he's like, Connors, Dylan, Marco, and then he stops, because he doesn't want to cure Osborn, because he said minutes earlier he wants to kill Osborn. He doesn't want to cure him. And I love how you can see him pause. He's like, I don't want to say that name, because we're not going to cure him. And even Toby says, like, I've been thinking a long time of would I have been able to cure him? Like, would that have been able to be different? And now these guys can all get that chance at redemption.
Yeah, I'm curious, what does that mean for the timeline when they go back? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was one of everybody's biggest questions leaving the movie.
Yeah, like, if we get a new Toby movie, is like Norman and Oz, like are they all just alive in the current day and they're just in prison or something like that? Like, that'd be kind of a crazy approach to go to things if that's how they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would, but
which, if Norman is still alive, does that mean Harry's still alive?
Changes everything. It's like a reboot. Like, you could just everything's different.
I don't know. On one hand, I have the like purist mentality where I'm like, no, leave it alone. Don't do anything to it, please. But then there's that ticking thing. You're like, what if?
Yeah, it'd be very fascinating. But yeah, skip to the final battle, third act. Insane final battle. You have all three Spider-Men going against all five of the villains. I love that they switch back and forth between the villains, so you have the moments that you want, but also it's like, hey, so what is it like if this villain is fighting this character and this, like, they get to switch it? That's fantastic. You have the Avengers line. I think it's like hilarious. So it's like, I was on the Avengers. That's great. What that?
I thought during that sequence that Toby was about to acknowledge that the Avengers existed in his universe by him saying that's great. So I got excited for like a split second, and then was just laughing because of the delivery. But I also Sorry.
We know Doctor Strange is canon in his universe.
We know that one is there.
Yeah.
Which is funny that that's the other hero Toby interacts with in the movie too. But no, like you said, we do get a lot of the moments between the villains and their respective Spider-Men. And of course that moment where like they're all swinging together and you get that score where all of them land on the statue one after the other. Really cool. And like I love how they end in chronological order. So you have Toby, then Andrew, then Tom. Great stuff. and then that shot where they're all jumping at them. You see the actual shot versus what the Brazilian market did for that trailer because they CGI'd the other Spider-Man out of it. Yet if you look at Lizard, he gets kicked by invisible air. So that was kind of the giveaway that hey, something's there.
But yeah, they have this huge battle. We do the Statue of Liberty Spider-Man versus Goblin moment, which is also, I think, a fantastic moment. Them crawling near the water, Toby having to stop them, all these things.
And little detail too that I liked that just kind of ties the universe together. In the episode of Hawkeye that aired like right around that time, there's like a line where they're like, "Hey, you should check out the new Statue of Liberty." I'm like, tying everything together. I like that part.
I think I talked about it in my Hawkeye episode, but like Hawkeye was airing alongside this. So you have the fists happen, the Fisk moment happen, I think a couple of days before this movie came out.
Yeah.
And then the movie comes out, you have the Matt Murdock cameo. I do remember people being convinced Spider-Man was going to show up in Hawkeye, the Hawkeye finale, which was never going to happen. We were like, guys, they're not allowed to do this, but like, no, he's going to show up, he's going to help Hawkeye and then leave.
They can't.
No, obviously not. But it's very funny how they line things up very well in the way where they're both in New York, both around Christmas, coming out at the same time. It made for some nice continuity, at least a little bit. But then obviously leads to the kind of penultimate moments in the movie where they have to undo the spell. Peter comes up with the idea, what if everyone forgot about Spider-Man? What if no one knew who I was? Going back into with great power, there must also become great responsibility. Fully embracing that this isn't what I want. This is a sacrifice I have to make. But if it's to save the multiverse, I'm willing to do it because that's what I'm here to do. Which, was rumored. Like, I know some people had theorized that's how the movie would end or something along those lines. I love it a lot. I like that ending a lot. I love the moments where he goes and he has the paper and he's going to be like, hey, like I'm me and I'm this, but he sees the bruises on their face and he sees what knowing them did to their lives and how it almost not only hurt them but also kept them from their dream colleges and kept them all from all these opportunities, and for their sake he decides to not tell them the secret, which obviously will lead into a brand new day, which we will be seeing in about a month here, give or take.
Which is pretty crazy.
Crazy. And then ending on that fantastic final swing with that gorgeous looking suit. Fantastic looking suit.
Loving that a lot too. And I guess before we get to like the one little bit toward the end of this movie, I would just say I think this movie is just a treat for Spider-Man fans, comic book fans, superhero fans altogether. Are there like little things you could pick apart? Sure.
Agreed. But it's fun.
But I mean, like, this movie was bringing things out of me that like not even Avengers Endgame did. So I have to give credit where credit's due there.
Yeah, I think like this is the event movie, and like these event movies, if they're Avengers Endgame or if they're, whatever they are, they will always have flaws in the way that they have to be made and stuff like that. And do I want every MC movie to be made like this? No, because then it loses its specialness. Yeah. But movies like this, I'm just so happy that they exist, and I can go back and watch the moment where they all three met for the first time. It's so special.
And it's on a personal like note too. Like at the end of this year, I think was a good time for this movie to happen because at the start or at the end of 2020, going into 2021, I had 3 back-to-back family deaths that really put me into a dark spot. And seeing that movie toward the end of it, toward the end of the year, again, really resonated with me. And the next movie we're going to talk about actually have like some personal family ties to it also. But again, I think it just has to do with the timing in which you see some of these things and the moments they enter your life when they do. But then you get the moment during the credits that kind of pissed some people off.
Yeah, that might be the most useless post-credit scene of all time. Like, it doesn't need... Part of me kind of wishes that they would just get rid of it because it doesn't. None of it makes sense anymore, right? Obviously, Tom Hardy's Venom showing up in a bar, which I think is funny. Like that's kind of what the ending of Venom 2 is him like seeing it on the TV and being like, oh, this is crazy. We gotta go find him. And then he just kind of goes back, but has a little Venom piece behind, which I think is cool. I think the idea is cool. But they undo it in Venom 3 anyway. Like they go and take it away. So I'm like, what was the point of literally any of this?
Yeah. But then, like after that, which was funny, a guy behind me in our theater, when Tom Hardy's getting pulled back, a guy yells, he goes, "We've been bamboozled!" And then they zoom in on that piece of the symbiote, and then you hear from that one same individual, "Oh fuck!" It's like the gut reaction that people have in those moments. And then following that, at the very end, you get a full-on trailer for the next movie we're talking about.
Yeah, which I know was pretty controversial at the time. Like, it's literally just an ad. I don't hate it though. Like, I think especially if there's
I was fine.
One post-credit scene, like I don't mind. I mean,
they basically did that for the Avengers back in the day. Like when Captain America was first in theaters, they had an Avengers trailer at the end of that movie. So
yeah, I don't hate it.